mic working right now? Can you all hear me nice and coming in nice and, well, not loud, but whatever it is right here. All right. All right. How are we all doing this Friday night? You can't hear you. Ah, it's a shame. I guess I should talk louder then. All right, everyone. Let's just jump right into things, shall we? I know the goals still have... It's funny. Every time I do this, the goals don't reset properly. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? What am I talking about? Well, welcome everyone for another one of these streams. An extra one this week. I know. You're getting spoiled between this and my chat with Celtic Phoenix and his crew this week. It's been a week of streamings. My wife and son miss me. They haven't seen me in ages. Been locked up in this room doing work all day. Something fun like that. Oh my goodness. Friend, I think we're in the stream. It's all good. Music is a little loud. I'll lower it down. Oh, Suja coming in.
At the Gaming Truge super chatted $2. Best of luck, man.
Oh, thank you. It's going to be an interesting discussion here. Again, it's not a formal debate. I know Templar has been insistent of that as well. It's not really a formal debate, though. I suppose at a certain point, a contentious discussion, as he puts it, is not much difference between that and a debate. Definitely a discussion, though. Definitely a discussion. I'm surprised he agreed to this. Templar, for those who don't know, Tactikal Templar is a guy on the internet who encountered a lot of controversy over the last several months, and he has refused any confrontation with a critic of his. So this is a first.
At Sam last name B6N super chatted $4.99. You gotta admit what Ryan, Star Giant, did with some Freddy Krueger shit, do'n't y'all think? Anyway, have some holiday tax.
Thank you for the holiday tax. Has he done anything since the big thing? Last I heard, he had just did that big thing that Mysterious Mr. Enter and Lazy Bedhead was talking about a few weeks back, where Star Giant Productions made a whole big pseudo script about the Saber Spark Bonk KP situation that culminated in Star Giant running defense for Lily Orchard of all people. It's amazing how, no matter how much I try to escape Lily Orchard, she keeps weaseling her way back into my life. It's crazy how that works out. But I digress. Anyway, I will give Templar this. He has more guts than Lit Devil. Lit Devil still has avoided any offer of a direct discussion. I will give Templar this. I'm not sure how much we're going to discuss, how long this stream will be. Again, very well known, Templar has not agreed to any previous discussion about his beliefs and feelings with another critic on this platform thus far. So this makes it a first. He has avoided debating Oddly Noah. He's avoided debating Internet Adjacent, among others. That being said, though, Internet Adjacent himself is now roiled up in his own complete self-destruction on here, so maybe that was dodging a bullet. I imagine if they debated, Templar could just point to what Wolfgang's did and go, oh, all my critics are like this. Like, okay, come on. Call you and your followers Hassan defenders. Well, it's a good thing, as I don't really care about Hassan either. I don't watch Hassan, quite honestly. I don't really watch any of those, like, debate politics channels. They're just not something I find enjoyment in. I'm too autistic about, media to do that.
At DJLol58085 super chatted $5.79. Hi, Aunt. Glad to see you doing well. If there was a type of animated horror movie that you would want made, what would it look and feel like?
Something like Perfect Blue, I think, or Paprika. Something that uses the medium animation really cleverly. And not with
At Stingertopia3169 super chatted $5. So he's not calling it a debate? This is gonna be interesting.
Yes. It's not a debate by either discussion, but it is a discussion, so it'll be interesting.
At Sam last name B6N super chatted $1.99. Who is worse? Freddy Krueger or Star Giant?
I do think Freddy Krueger has the edge with, the hundreds of people he killed. I think the fictional dream demon Freddy Krueger is worse conceptually, but Star Giant's also a person. Also, I'm not sure if Star Giant has done anything since the last I heard about them, so I'm a little uncertain what has happened that is inspiring all these questions about Star Giant. Should I like look into this after the stream? I don't know. Anyway, for those who don't know, Tactical Templar, and he's going to be on at around 7 o'clock, so in about like 7 minutes or so. So I'm just trying to buy some time for him to get ready for that. Templar has had many opinions over the course of the last year or so. He has, last several years actually. He is one of the culture warriors we criticize frequently in this channel. 2 weeks ago, I discussed him on stream, at least one of his videos about Brie Larson, and I offered some criticism, and he responded on his stream, and went back and forth a bit. I was alerted down through the grapevine that Templar had responded. I looked at it, wasn't very impressed. I felt like Templar's discussion he only watched like about 7 minutes of my stream for about an hour, and every time he would start and stop. And I felt like it was one of those like pause Andy kind of reactions that I know I kind of do to an extent, but I try to avoid when possible, where you're responding before the person gets the point out. So I'm kind of like, okay, I engage with them online. I engage with them on the battlefield of Twitter, everyone's favorite battlefield. Kind of going, okay, what's going on? I bet you wouldn't say this to my face, this, that, and the other. And eventually we just kind of went, okay, well, let's say it to each other's face. Let's talk. And then we just agreed to. And, again, with a lot of these debates that I've had previously, again, not debates, discussions, I should say discussions, because I don't really formally debate. I've had about, 3 or 4 in the channel so far, and all of them have, to varying extents, turned out pretty well. I think my Goddammit Malcolm one was a little rough, I think, because I think we were just I think Malcolm was going for, like, trying to win, whereas I was trying to just discuss, and we're having different objectives the whole time. With Manga Common and Kino Flex, I think it turned out really well. I think both discussions were, again, not only debates, they weren't really debates, they were more like just a panel conversation about topics that we both had diametrically opposed positions to in some cases. I think both of those ended up pretty well. Don't think any of us had any, I think we're both very casual and had a good time. I would hope that Manga Common and Kino Flex had a good time, because I think they enjoyed themselves with it. So I'm not sure if this discussion will be kind of like this. I mean, Manga Common Manga Common is not a grifter, by no means. Manga Common is great. I've talked to Manga Common tons and tons of times after the fact. He's really sweet. And Manga's actually helped this channel quite a bit behind the scenes, for those who don't know, after this discussion. Because he saw me as one way, I saw him as one way, and we just stopped and talked. And, it's funny when you see people, when you talk to them, right? When you talk to people, you realize how much you have in common more than you have apart. And, Manga would say at the end of the day, we're both guys on the internet talking about movies. At the end of the day, or like TV shows or anime. At the end of the day, it's easy to discuss media. I don't run a politics channel. I don't run a channel on anything deeper than that. I'm talking about movies and books and games, and that correlates and intersects with politics, yes, but it's not about politics. We're not talking about war. Oh, there's Kino Flex. How's it going, man? We're not talking about war. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about books, movies, and games. At the end of the day, there are other channels you can go to if you want to hear like those hard-hitting debates on topics. We're talking about media. And ultimately speaking, with the discussion in arts, I think you can get a lot done through that. I think you can communicate across the aisle more often than not through the medium of art, I think. Because everyone enjoys a good story. That's what I think anyway. So, and also, for the most part, I don't think I've had a debate with anyone who's like malignant, So we'll see. Yeah, I'm hoping it's a good stream. At the very least, the way I see it, either A, we'll have a productive discussion and advance in some degree, or potentially, it'll be fun for you guys to watch. So one of the two. So either we have a productive discussion, or you're entertained for about an hour or two as we do this.
At the Gaming Truge super chatted $5. Despite my own feelings about this clown, I am always interested to have a discussion with this guy, giving everyone a fair shot.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I feel to an extent a lot of the discussions are put a certain way by the theater of discourse. Everyone wants to have like the punchy little shot when they have the mic to themselves, but in person, people talk differently. People talk differently when there's the person on the other side. When you can see the other person on the other line of the phone. It's a lot easier. Other line of the phone. Well, I'm showing my age right there. But I do have some questions for him too. I know a lot of people had questions regarding some of the finer points, more specific points he had, especially regarding Dr. Disrespect and Nux Taku. I am not familiar with much about Nuxtaku, so I'm not going to bring that up at all. I might mention something about like perceptions of news stories with Dr. Disrespect. There's one thing I want to bring up too that I noticed that might be interesting to discuss regarding that and how we perceive news stories and how we perceive information. But again, through the perception of, limited knowledge in certain fields. I'll say that. But again, we'll see. Most likely, I think it's going to stick mostly to media discussion, grifting, religion, in regards to how it intersects with our presentation, content strategies, all that good stuff. You know, I know enough about Nuxtaku to know I don't like him. is what it comes down to, and that he really has a creepy thing about Jaden animations, which is always something. I'll put it that way. Awesome, cool. All right, I was telling him when you're ready, just hop in voice chat. There we go. So whenever he's ready, he'll just hop in voice, and I'll just pop it up. I believe. Oh, he's already. All right, gentlemen, let's dive in.
Everything's working.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Extinotopia 3169 super chatted $2. Nix is a lowly defender who went right-wing grifter.
Fair. All right, I'm gonna pause supers real quick on my end, so sorry about that. And I'll have supers play out at key points between discussion points, so if chat has any questions, they can ask it, and we'll curate that as it comes. So how's it going, man?
Oh, that's a big old logo.
Oh yeah, right. So what I did was I just put it on what do you call it? Reactive, I think it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. You ever use Reactive? It's pretty good for getting like little icons on screen. It helps. Like it's a small thing, but it really helps with visual layout so much.
No, I have to move this so I can. There we go.
Yeah, take your time. It's all good.
All right.
And if you guys have any questions for me, don't hesitate.
I'm ready to go.
Oh,
no, I got nothing. I was paying attention to the intro a little bit.
No,
looking at the chat a little bit.
No, that's fair. I can't blame you, man. I can't blame you. Chat's always creative with some of its comments. And again, there was one guy who had like and by the way, chat on my end, please behave yourselves. Don't be too inappropriate.
No, please. By no means. No, they can go wild.
Don't say that. Don't say that. One time I had someone threaten like violence on people in chat. It was crazy.
Well, I mean, these people are furries. Okay, I'm not really that worried.
I mean, some are. Some certainly are. I know one of your critics is a furry.
I know because I'm looking in the chat. It's like a who's who of. I've seen a lot of these people before, dealt with them before.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You have a wide audience, I feel like, of people. And again, I want to keep this civil. I want to keep this nice and fair. Give you a chance to say what you want to say. So why don't you introduce yourself actually for my audience as well? And I can introduce myself for yours if you want.
Introduce myself. I'm a commentator. I'm somebody that does all my own editing, recording. Does everything myself. I have no sponsors. I have nothing like that. I criticize people from the right and the left, believe it or not.
That's fair. I try to do the same thing when I can. You'd be surprised. Sometimes there are people on the left and right who just, I don't know. I'm not surprised you don't text them.
Yeah, I'm one of the most varied streamers out there. There's nobody that really does streaming or content as varied as mine. I'll have a video about praying for a content creator, or I'll have a video about a song. I'll have a video about Trump. I cover whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. That's how I cover content.
That's fair. I was going to ask about your content strategy too, because it's very different from how a lot of people usually do cover content. Because typically speaking, the approach I take is I try to make sure it's a topic that is like every week I try to put out like one video if possible, usually about a topic that's either something I'm that particular week you're just interested in for whatever reason, like a hyperfixation, whatever, or something I know my audience is asking about or interested about, or in relation sometimes to some hot button topic, whether it's a person's hot take or some movie coming out. But you tend to have you put out like 5-6 videos a day, and that kind of took me aside when I first saw that. So what's your strategy when choosing a topic? What's your approach?
There are certain topics that I cover because I think that they are hot button issues, but a lot of the times I just cover it because it interests me. It's interesting in some way, and I think it'll be interesting to my audience. That pretty much is the start and end of it.
That's fair. I feel like with my approach with content strategy, when it comes to that, I find sometimes, and if you think the same way, let me know. I feel sometimes that if I do too wide a spread, some of my audience might not be interested in everything I say. So I try to keep in mind, because at the end of the day, we all create material. We all create content in some way. We all create stuff that people can enjoy. And so I always try to keep in mind my audience's general interests to avoid sending them in too many different ways, I guess, or dividing them too much in different topics.
No, I like introducing my viewers to content they may not be familiar with or they may not like. It's good for them.
That's fair. Well, what I do is instead I try to intermix. So, for example, there's different topics, usually like a main thesis. Like this week, for example, we talked about fan service in anime. And I used it as an opportunity to slip in some of my...
What's your thoughts on fan service in anime?
I think it varies, I think... I'm not gonna summarize the entire video, but the gist of it basically is I think sometimes fan service can be art. Sometimes fan service can be just kind of exploitative and underwhelming. My big issue with it is a lot of the time I think it's very repetitive. Like if you've seen enough anime, you've seen every main gag at least 5 times. Like you've seen enough times. So you kind of get like, okay, I've seen this before, and you kind of hope for something interesting and dynamic. Like for me, Interspecies Reviewers, when it came out a few years ago, that was something like, okay, this is interesting. It's something different. We haven't seen this before, or at least not to this extent. At least not in a mainstream anime production. Usually you get the OVAs from the 80s to get that.
Sure.
But again, whatever. I think it depends on execution. Sometimes it works, sometimes it sucks, and that's just the nature of the beast. What are your perspectives? I know you've had some controversies surrounding fan service in VTubing and anime before, so what's your take on that?
On fan service?
Well, in general, that whole...
It's a different culture. And so it's like, when it comes to Japan, I understand that they have certain traditions and certain tropes the same way that we do in our entertainment. There are certain repeating elements in our comedy that they wouldn't understand. So I'm aware of that. I'm watching somebody else's foreign entertainment when I watch anime. So I try not to be super, super critical. It's a little bit different when it's VTubers, because a lot of VTubers, they're not, like, a lot of them are from Japan, but a lot of the ones that you see on X are not from Japan. They're women from the West latching onto that thing to be able to sell their OnlyFans or other pornographic material, and that's pretty much the main focus.
I'm sure some are. I wouldn't say most.
A lot. Shocking numbers.
Here's the thing. I obviously...
Shocking numbers. Shocking numbers. And it's growing. The number of girls are like, oh, I'm a VTuber. And then they'll show, I've seen, I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've seen this over and over and over on X, where you have these women, basically walking out in bra and panties, sometimes showing their face, sometimes not. I'm a VTuber, lol. But it's really just a mechanism to sell their fansly and OnlyFans. It's because it's an emerging, popular form of entertainment. It's sort of like girls hopping on Twitch, when Twitch was about gaming, and then it became about other things.
All right. Well, I'm gonna push back on a couple things. Not to disagree with you necessarily, but I'm gonna just question a couple things. The big thing also is, obviously with a lot of VTubers, they have their other entertainment. They usually work in different fields of entertainment. So a lot of, I know, for example, what's her name? Mori Calliope, I think it was. She started initially as like a rapper, like outside of VTubing and all that, and then moved into the platform.
A bunch of shit for that. Didn't the VTubing community come after her for that? Because she only... They said she only cared about her music and not really VTubing because she made a statement about not caring about anime.
Yeah, there was something to that extent. Not exactly not caring about anime, but it was like a dismissive sound.
I don't give a shit about that. I'm not a purist on any of that stuff. I don't care.
Let's also be fair, and you know this quite well because you create content on the internet. Any number of people can make a comment online that's taken out of context or interpreted differently, and you just extrapolate all meaning from that. I think it was one of those where she said it, made a careless comment or two, and people took it in the worst possible direction. And when she tried, damage controlling, because that's what happens online, it went in a different direction. Further, I think another thing also is a lot of the VTubers are ultimately creators. They're content creators. And I know personally a lot of, mainstream commentary people, they write, they do art, they do songs, they do YouTube videos. If you're really interested in creation, you're going to be interested in other aspects of creation, I should say. And so I think like with say OnlyFans stuff, that's a market, that's a creative outlet, and it is. It's entertainment certainly, and so I think like hey, listen, it's performance art. That's enough right there. And so if you're into one, you might be into the other. And hey, if you can make a market selling it, hell yeah, make your money.
Yeah.
Who am I to tell you you can't make your money the way you want it? If there's an audience for it and you can sell it, and you can market yourself or market what your product is, that's great. I mean, I remember a while back.
Is that the no harm principle?
Well, I mean, the way I see it is, if no one's being harmed, who cares? If there's a market for it, that's good.
Fuck the guys, right?
Hey, hey, listen. If you can sell,
I don't mean literally. I mean
we're an equal opportunity. We're an equal opportunity, market here. If a guy wants to do that too, go right ahead. If you can market yourself, fine.
What girl is gonna buy? What girl's gonna buy that? Now, girls are too busy buying monster books.
Well, of course they are.
Have you read Morning Glory Milking Farm? By the way, that's an important question.
No, I have not. I have not read that. I've seen the cover enough times mentioned, but I have not read it. I do want to do a video where I do want to do a video at one point in the future about like the monster romance genre, because I think it is very interesting to discuss. But that's
not new, by the way.
No, of course not. It's old as time. You kidding? You have Gilgamesh and Enkidu. One of the oldest stories in the world. It's just a man and his monster. Monster friend.
Vampires, Dracula, not just Dracula, but Frankenstein as well. That's been. Anyone who tells you that men are the more degenerate sex, those people are lying.
Well, I would never call any sex degenerate. I'll say it right now. That's not really it's not really something I subscribe to. But like again, listen, one of the oldest, what was it? The Fisherman's Wife, the woodcut painting from Japan from many years ago. I think like the 1400s. No, it was more recent than that. Chat, was it 1500s or 1600s that the Fisherman's Wife came out? Or was it 1800s? Not even sure. It's a depiction of a fisherman's wife engaging intimately with an octopus. So it's like there's always been a market for strange art that's like very.
It's pretty disgusting.
Hey, listen, people have been weird since the dawn of time.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame. We need another crusade.
I'm not really sure how that flows logically, but okay. But yeah, here's the thing. One thing a lot of people have commented about with your discussion and with your mentions, a lot of people have said that you express a lot of 1814. There we go. Thank you, chat, for the save on the Fisherman's Wife art piece. A lot of people have commented that your particular style of commentary is very abrasive towards women. So what would you say to that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I was going to say, like, a lot of people have criticized your style of commentary, saying you're very abrasive against women. A lot of your, and and even in this conversation, you said a lot of things that are very despairing about women in general. So what do you say in response to that?
I don't care.
I
don't care what. Are you kidding? I maybe it's because I have an understanding of who these people are. It's sort of the same people that you were criticizing for, like, going after Maury Calliope for the music. I don't care what these people think about me. I'll just be brutally honest. Mm-hmm. These people are degenerates, and these people are mentally ill, and there's something deeply and profoundly wrong with these people. I've seen the way that they behave. It's not normal. It's not normal to be as social or to be as continually obsessed with one certain thing as they are. So
let's take a step back. I feel like not to cut you off. I feel like
let me just finish this one point. Let me get to it. Because it is applicable directly to this question.
Okay.
You asked me, what would my response be? And my response is, I don't have to defend myself to these people at all, ever.
Okay.
Because
let's take a step back. What do you mean by these people? That's what I was going to ask, because I feel like we're jumping into the discussion.
Take a good look at your chat, and this is just a microcosm. That's what I'm talking about when I say these people. Is there's a bunch of people, and by the way, your chat is not all of them. There are thousands and tens of thousands of them online. I just got done watching a thing with a VTuber named Zentreya, who went through something because her costume looked a little too much like a World War II German uniform, so they went after her and tried to, ruin her life and make her miserable. I don't care what these people say about my takes on tradition or values because I've seen where these people's beliefs lead to. So I don't have to justify myself to them. If they don't like it, fine, don't like it. That's my take on it. I'm unapologetic about the stuff that I say, whether it be religion, whether it be my takes on movies. If you don't like it, that's fine. No one says that you have to. But at the end of the day, I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe anyone an explanation.
All right. Well, I feel that's kind of dismissive, don't you think? Because it's a chat filled with different people,
Sure.
all different kinds of people. You don't know what they're like or what their beliefs are. In my audience,
I
we
do
have
know what
tons.
they're like.
Well, I mean,
I do. I know exactly what they're like. I've dealt with them.
Well, okay.
I've seen these people.
Have you seen
So-
every individual? It's like about 236 people. It's about
No, we
200
don't deal. We don't deal in the exceptions. We deal in the generalities.
But you don't know what the
Because the
generalities are
generalities
either. You haven't
are-
talked to any of these people before. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I have
If you-
too.
Well,
So first of all, you're wrong. I've seen a
Templar,
lot of
Templar.
people-
I let you.
I've seen a lot
Templar, I
of
let you
people-
finish. Let me finish.
Sure.
All right. So I feel like the problem with what a lot of people have with your style of responding to criticism is that you kind of jump into generalizations about all your audience. You think all of them are furries. You think all of them belong to one group. And even if they were furries, who cares? The way I see it with
I
criticism.
care. First of all, let me just say. Okay, go ahead.
Don't worry. I'm sure your point will be relevant when I finish too. Don't worry about a thing. I
Go
feel
ahead.
like the big issue with how you respond to feedback is you dismiss it outright. A lot of feedback can be negative, sure. It can be shitty, sure. Hey, you make videos online, people are going to be annoying or pain in the ass about it at some point. It's going to happen no matter what. However, I think the big issue here is that the way you approach it, you dismiss potentially useful feedback. Because even feedback that's negative or not positive can benefit you in some way. It can help point out a flaw in your style, or it can help maybe
That's
have you
true, but
reassess
not
what you
from
say.
These people.
Well,
These people don't have anything of value to say.
Well,
And do you know how I can say that so definitively?
How
Because
so?
you're wrong. I have encountered these people.
You've encountered
these people
all
have been in my
236
chat.
people in the chat right here.
No. You don't need to deal with every single one to get a flavor of who these people are. Because it's an interconnected group of people. You know what's so interesting to me? You said, well, what's the big deal with them being furry? That guy Internet Adjacent, it's really funny you brought him up.
Unfortunately, I now know what Wolfgang's Cinderella item is. It's in reference to. Unfortunately,
I mean,
too.
that is, I just, sometimes life is stranger than fiction. Is that somebody comes to criticize my content to tell me what I should and shouldn't say, what I should and shouldn't do. Guy ends up being a gay furry.
Well, I mean, we knew he was. That wasn't the problem. Wasn't he was gay or a furry? The problem was the non-consensual sex part. That was the issue. I feel like of the three topics, him being
at a furry convention.
well, I feel the bigger issue is the fact that he had there was debatably non-consensual sex with Parlo,
Yeah.
and then there was the whole factor
it's
with
gross.
messaging a younger
We're
person.
not going to agree on that. That's fine, but that's gross.
Well, I mean-
and he and what he represents is gross. It is degeneracy, and it is wrong, and it is something that you can see spreading and making nearly everything worse. And I'm not talking about just like societally. That's a huge conversation, but I mean, the type of people that get into these positions at gaming companies, movie companies,
I
television
feel like we're
companies.
definitely jumping onto a couple different topics. I want to explore your discussions.
I'm trying
of
to
the hierarchy.
keep it to entertainment.
No, that's true.
as much as-
I want to explore all those in turn. I feel those are all worth discussing on of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to first discuss this concept that you have. Because again, with this whole culture conflict, a common fact of point of discussion is the idea of degeneracy versus what we perceive on my side, which is just a proliferation of opinion. What you perceive as degeneracy is just, for the most part, people with different perspectives than you voicing those different perspectives. And so,
So
how
you
can
mean
you how can you mark
Like
them all
gay
the
furry
same?
sex is just
I
a
get-
different perspective.
Here's the thing: they're all adults. They're consenting. Who cares?
Yeah,
What?
we-
How
we
does
don't
it
agree
impact
on that.
anyone's life meaningfully? What two people do?
Because
alone
it
on
affects society. By
What-
normalizing that disgusting, degenerate shit, it affects society in a way that I think is harmful. I don't agree with your no harm fallacy. I don't agree with that. I have a fundamentally different perspective.
All right, then let's ask a question here. What harm does that cause an individual society person? Like what? Hey,
Well,
if two people in New York
talk
City
to the harm about.
Well, let me give you an example.
You want
first.
to talk to the harm about the individual that was pressured into engaging in that type of behavior?
Well, that's the
guy
problem
that was-
right there. That's not what I'm talking about, is it? I'm talking about
No?
people who consent on the same page. You're referring to sexual assault. Those are two different topics.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
what do two people engage
It's
in a
crazy
nice,
how-
healthy adult relationship? All parties agree on all terms. How does that affect someone in your town? What they do in New York City? Does it have any impact at all tangibly?
I think that's wild. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Homosexual furries. That's not. No, it's normal. No, it's not. We're not going to agree on that. So I mean, we can move on to a different topic because that is just crazy. It's disgusting.
I feel as though you haven't
And
really proven your
the thing
point is the problem.
one thing that you're going to have to grapple with, and you may not like this, but I'll just be honest, is that more people agree with me on this in the real world than you. But more
think
people, I think, online agree with you. So it creates this false perception of agreement.
Really?
But
interesting. So let me ask a question.
you think if you went to a Walmart American and you said, you know what, it's normal for two gay furries to have like a relationship in public, you think that Walmart Americans, you think they'd be on board?
Well, I'm not talking about Walmart. I'm talking about just life.
Average Americans, Walmart Americans.
Here's the problem, though. I don't care.
You think they'd be okay with furries?
Dude, I
No.
don't care
See,
about
the internet
furries.
creates a false perception because all of these freaks and weirdos get together, and it creates this perception of agreement, which is why online there is trans acceptance.
But buddy,
online.
I think you're getting ahead of yourself here. For one, you're the
I'm not.
only
I'm
person.
only
You're the
talking
only
about-
person who mentioned furries. No one mentioned furries before you brought it up. You're the
I'm
only
talking-
person who cares about furries in this discussion. That's the first problem.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm talking about somebody that criticized me,
Yes,
and
yes,
your
yes.
chat is filled with furries that have been vehemently against my content.
Here's the problem with this
So
whole
that's
discussion.
why I make fun of them, because
Right,
these
but-
people
Right,
have
but
that have an established pattern of behavior continuously that I've noticed over quite some time.
My
That's
guy,
why I talk about
At
them.
what point did anyone in my chat demonstrate any furry tendencies at all collectively?
They are furries.
Really? Name one.
Stanley the cat, Otterly Noah. I see him in there.
All right. Well, Noah's one example, maybe. But again, the problem right there is
Stanley
that's
the
one
cat
person
is the
out of
guy that
269.
did a reaction. He's a meme on my channel. He's the guy who's like the lisping furry. Yeah. Anyway,
You mean the guy who gets more
I
views?
don't
regularly
want
than
to
you?
get too bogged into that because that we're never going to agree on that. So it's not really worth getting too down into that rabbit hole because we will never find agreement on that. And
That's
I think
very true, we
that's
won't.
just.
I think the
that's
problem
just-
is, I think if I can say one last button on that topic,
Sure.
if that's okay, I feel your problem is that you overgeneralize about all your critics to easily dismiss them because that's easier than actually addressing what they say to you. If you can
No.
dismiss them as degenerates, you don't have to actually hear what they have to say, and thus that offers you a level of protection against whatever criticisms they have about you.
No, see, that is a cop-out. See, I can do two things at once. I don't use ad hominems to attack people. What I do is,
You just
I
did, though. You
insult-
called them all gay furries and said that what they have to say doesn't matter.
and they are.
That's an ad hominem.
and they are.
That's
No,
basically what you
no.
described.
Let me explain to you what an ad hominem is, because clearly you don't know what it is.
Okay, explain.
An ad hominem is attacking somebody in place of an argument. I've debunked every single one of the things that these people say, and I insult them at the same time. These two things are mutually exclusive. They're not wrong in terms of their argument because they're like this. They're wrong, and I get to insult them because they are degenerates and they live a lifestyle that is outside of what society should be considering normal.
I see. Then let's stick to the actual debunking of arguments than the ad hominem attacks, because the problem is right now.
It's not an ad hominem, it's an insult.
Well, here's the
And
problem.
I'm not
With
going to
here's
be
the problem
tone
with this.
policed by anyone. There's a
It's
reason
not about
why
police. It's not about policing. It's about
it
practicality.
is tone policing.
No, it's not about
That's
tone
what you're
policing. It's about
doing.
practicality, because you're not
No,
actually
it's
saying
tone
anything
policing.
of any value. You're just
No,
throwing out
it's-
insults, not
you
actually
are,
articulating
what you are
specific
is a
points.
tone policer, and that's what you and a lot of people in your group are. You're tone policing.
We're not interested
You
in
can't
tone,
talk
dude.
to,
We're not
you
interested in
can't
tone
talk to
policing.
this
We're asking
person.
for points.
You
We're asking
can't
for direct
associate with this
conversation.
person. If you do, then you're part of this person. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm just saying there's a reason why I don't join any streamer groups. I don't take any sponsors. I don't do any of that stuff because I will not and have not ever allowed anyone to dictate what I say or what I don't say.
No one. Here's the thing, Templar. No one's saying you can't say what you want to say. I've allowed you to speak your mind. The problem is how
You allowed
effective
me
it
to
is. Well,
speak my mind?
no, I'm streaming. I could always mute you if I wanted to, but I'm not. The
No.
problem is its practicality. It's how
You asked
useful
for
your
this
language.
conversation.
That's true.
If you were to mute me, I would just leave. No, we are having a dialogue because
Exactly. And I'm offering you
allowed
feedback
this
on
to
your
happen.
dialogue.
Because-
If I may,
oh, it's-
well,
it's
if I
perfect.
hear my point first before you interrupt it, you may agree
Sure.
with it. The problem is what you're saying doesn't actually address what we're talking about. When you make when you make these comments, you're distracting from the core point. The core point is discussion of the topic. How do you know someone is all this? Well, you can assume. Okay, well, that's great for your perspective, but that's not useful for our conversation.
Patterns of behavior.
Yeah, but you don't know anyone.
What they say,
You don't know anyone
how
in this
they
chat.
say it.
You know a couple people. That's it. So for me,
Yeah.
5 people. 5 people. out
I'm
of 200
reading your chat, by the way, and
Okay.
and my chat is rightfully pointing out. I mean, you brother, if these are the people that you cultivate, I think that's a moment of reflection. I would say the same thing. It's not just you, by the way. I would say the same thing for Hassan and other people too. I'm not
Hassan
saying
has
that you're
nothing to do
part
with
of
this
that.
Dude, Hassan has nothing to do with this channel.
It's content creators. It's the audience you cultivate. I think reflects a lot of your content and what you stand for and what you value.
Yes, and
The
I
type of
cultivate an
people that
audience
would-
people who disagree. I cultivate an audience people who have different perspectives, who feel welcome to share those perspectives, and
Yeah, like-
that they will
Like,
respond
like
with
gay free sex is normal and stuff like that. That yeah.
My
I can
audience
see that.
specifically gathers because they want to have discussion.
Uh-huh.
If you want to discuss, let's discuss. The problem is right now you're delaying from discussing. You're distracting from discussing.
Am I?
Yes, you are, because you're not actually
just
addressing
pushing
any points. You're just
I'm pushing
spouting.
back on the tone policing.
Yeah, but
that's all.
the problem is it's not tone policing. The problem is
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
saying that you have to look at the perspective like this. Not have to. I would recommend you look at the perspective like this.
No, the
Have to is
question
too
was,
strong.
what do your original question was, what do you say to people that say you're a misogynist or you treat women a certain way?
That's fair. But then the problem
And
you
my
can't- but then
reaction-
you changed the perspective.
No,
When you started,
no,
that was fine.
everything-
No, when you started, it was fine. You
everything-
changed gears halfway through.
Everything is connected. Every one of my answers is connected. It's all about these people have no moral basis for to judge anyone on any topic ever. And yet they're coming out there and saying, well, you hate women. Anyone who knows anything about my content knows what my position on women is, and it's not what these mentally ill perverts, by the way, a lot of them seem to be, or maybe not a lot of them, but a lot of them in the LGBTQ circle, which I understand they are not going to like my content because I advocate traditional values.
Yeah, it's funny
But
you say that. I
why-
want to. I'll let you finish. Then I'll come to that in a second.
But that's essentially my point. I would be surprised if these people liked my content, because my content is actually advocating what's best for women. And you could say, well, how do you know what's best for women? Because you look back through history and you see what has yielded the most optimal outcomes and made the most people happy, men and women in society.
I see.
what
Okay,
you're
let me ask a question.
advocating?
What happened in the Celts around the time of the Roman Empire?
Oh.
Why did they build that wall again? Who was on the other side of that wall of the in Britain? Who was on the other side?
So are you
Yes, you mentioned history. Who was on the other side of the wall in Britain during the Roman Empire?
So are you actually trying to make the claim that traditional values that have stood the test of time in every culture around the world is somehow bad because in one example that you're going to pull out, tradition didn't work according to you?
No, I don't believe that. I don't think there was any traditional values. I think it's a modern myth. I think
You
the
think that
problem is
traditional
that
values is a
history. You
modern
look at
myth?
different. I think it's a myth, yeah, because you look at
So-
history. Different cultures have
So
different perspectives, and
marriage
they're contradictory.
is a modern myth. Like getting married, a man and a woman having kids, that's a modern myth.
Yeah, it's not even in the Bible. In the Bible, marriage was not defined by one man and one woman. It could be one man, 1,000 women. It could be one man and 15 women. There was no actual one standard for marriage, even back in your text that you
Says,
worship.
and the two shall become one flesh, so they are no longer two, but one flesh.
Ah, but you see, there is neither Jew nor Gentile, nor neither slave nor free, nor is there male nor female.
No,
For
no, no,
you
no,
are
no.
all
Don't
one in
obfuscate
Christ.
from that.
Nah,
Address it.
it's Galatians
It has a number
chapter
right
3,
there. It has
verse
a
28,
number
man.
2. Jesus himself says the two will become one flesh. You said, well, the Bible doesn't say about numbers. It literally says the two will become one. So do you have, like, without trying to obfuscate, just I'm not trying to get into a gotcha. Do you have an explanation for the two? Because did you just pull that out of your ass, or was that something that you've actually thought? The Bible says you can marry 1,000 women.
Yes, there is. If you ever read the histories of the Old Testament, you forget I'm
Oh,
Catholic,
the
my friend.
histories of the Old Testament. So you read like another book about the Bible that wasn't the Bible, and then
No, I
you're
read the
saying
Bible
that,
itself. Read up the stories of David and Solomon.
so when Jesus himself says something, you think that that is less important than like when a king says something?
No, I think
When
quite the
it's
opposite. When Jesus says it, it contradicts the previous points. But what I'm saying is, you're talking about traditional
so
values.
and so
You did
when
not
Jesus says in
say.
the
You did
two,
not specify. Let me finish. You did not specify what Jesus said. You specified what was in the past historically. In the past historically also means the traditions of Israel pre-Roman conquest. It also includes the Celts pre-Roman conquest.
it's just
It
a
includes
pedantic bunch
Olga of
of
Kiev.
nonsense.
It includes
There's
Cleopatra.
no actual. It's nothing.
Those
So
are pretty
you're
big
talking
examples,
about
man.
it. You said it's a modern, that traditional marriage is a modern invention.
Yeah, it
And
is,
then I
man.
just
The
pulled out
concept.
Jesus himself saying from the good book
Mm-hmm.
that the two shall become one flesh; they are no longer two. Anyway, listen. We're not going to agree on that. You're wrong, obviously, but
Oh,
it's
am
like,
I? Okay, well,
well,
that's saying the quote.
you're
Where's
trying.
the quote specifically?
Listen, marriage has been around. It's not a modern invention, my guy. If that's
Oh
what
no,
you
I'm
want to
saying
believe,
modern
fine.
marriage is a modern invention. The concept we have currently is modern. The
Well,
problem is this:
just
historically,
putting modern in front of the word.
yes,
No.
last 300, 400 years, our concept of marriage was actually finalized
So,
like that.
so
Hell,
in the
even the
Bible,
idea of a priest unifying people is not universally true across world culture. It's not even
so
true in old
in
Christian culture.
Genesis 2:24, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife. They shall become one flesh. So the reason why I'm a little incredulous is because I didn't think this was controversial. So anyway, let's move on to something else, because we could be
Well, I
here
want
for
to
a
ask a
while. And
question too, because I feel like one
it's
point
not
too it's
that
worth
interesting.
discussing
I
is.
imagine that a lot of the people in your audience aren't really theologians and aren't really interested in
No, we have a few priests in here too. So I have a
oh,
question. I have a question for you as
well,
well.
gay furry priests, I'm sure.
I have a question for you too.
Um,
What denomination of Christianity do you belong to?
um, well, I was raised non-denominational,
Oh, I
like
see.
Protestant, but I'm recently I've been looking more into Eastern Orthodox.
Eastern Orthodox. Okay, so
I find that to be incredibly. I find that to be very interesting. I like
interesting,
a lot of
interesting.
their aesthetics. I like a lot of their music, a lot of their rituals and beliefs. So that's what I've been looking into more
I
recently.
see. So then, why do you dress as a Templar?
Well, actually, originally it was Warhammer. I've always
Hmm.
been fond of Warhammer, but also I liked the Templars. I liked their message. I liked their aesthetic. I liked the whole concept of helping people to complete their pilgrimage. I've always thought that was a very noble and very, inspirational type of thing.
Do you also like the
Um,
idea of conquesting particular city ports to increase trade? Do they like the what is it called, the trade route between the Silk trade, the Silk Road?
no, it's not that deep. The Templars, the whole thing about helping with the pilgrimage and stuff like that. I can see you want to turn it into into something that a little more deep than it is.
Well, only
Now,
because my
I just
family
I
belonged
like
to regions of Europe that actually were part of the Templars. So I'm just asking that
yeah,
question from a historical.
that's
Because to
interesting.
me, it comes across almost as stolen valor as someone who's not Catholic dressing like that.
No, no.
No,
It's,
it's
that's
a stretch. I'm sure it's a
yeah.
stretch.
Well, Look, if you want to believe that, it's fine. But then you're going to have to say that Warhammer is stolen valor too, because they use the name Templars.
Warhammer just takes everything and has a good time with it. Warhammer doesn't take itself as seriously as you'd think. Well, not as you think. You know very well. You probably like Warhammer more than I do. But I mean, Warhammer. I always thought the appeal of that was how hyperbolic it was ultimately.
Well, there it is hyperbolic, but also it has a lot of different factions. The lore is so deep in that. I've never seen any material in the entertainment industry that's deeper than Warhammer. Like how many books?
Well, deeper in what sense? Do you
40?
mean deeper in terms of how complex
And
the lore is, or in terms of how deep the
of
ideas
lore
are?
over something that's a tabletop game. Like it was just a tabletop game to sell these little miniatures, and they're more like it would take you weeks to read all of the Warhammer books.
Probably.
There's so it'd probably take you more like a month or so. There's
Depending how if I had like every second the day devoted to Warhammer reading, probably a month or two. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah,
there
agreed.
are more books for Warhammer than you think. There's like 40 plus.
40 plus.
And by the way, that's talking like the main storyline. There's a lot of books for Warhammer.
Oh,
and
I've seen
so
tons.
for
I've seen
something,
tons of those. Yeah, I think I have one of the Horus Heresy. Was that the book series?
Oh,
I
yeah,
never read it, but I bought it a while back.
how have you not read like if you're a fan of literature and history and stuff, how could you not read Warhammer? It's
I
just
don't know,
it's
man.
so
Have you
fascinating.
seen my bookshelf? There's a lot of books there. I've read those books, but there's
Yeah.
other books I have in storage. I just
Yeah,
you
no,
know, a lot of them.
Warhammer's fantastic.
I believe that. Again, like in terms of lore, though, yeah, Warhammer has probably in terms of volume, probably it's up there. I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's certainly up there.
Yeah,
But I
but
always
that's
think when I
really
think of deep
that
lore,
really
I
is
think
how
of
I came about my name is that I am a Christian and I thought that the Templar aesthetic was cool and
yeah,
I was
that's
a big
fair.
fan
That's
of
fair.
Warhammer. So no, it's not stolen valor or anything. I'm not
Okay,
actually claiming to be one of the medieval Templar from back in the day. It's just a fun name that I thought
fair,
really
fair.
sort of resonated.
Fair. In regards to sci-fi, though, 'cause that's a topic that's obviously you have a lot of thoughts on. I personally always, when I thought of like the greatest works of science fiction, for me personally, I always go back to stuff like Dune. I go back to the works of Philip K. Dick. For a while, Arthur C. Clarke also I had a fondness for in terms of classicness, but like I think like his work is a little more inconsistent. What do you think?
On what now?
Arthur C. Clarke's work. I feel like his work's a little more, like in hindsight, I've kind of soured a little bit on his legacy a little bit, but like, Childhood's End, such a masterpiece of science fiction literature. They got Rendezvous with Rama. That's pretty fantastic. Heinlein, I feel like a little bit like,
Nope, not
Heinlein,
familiar
I
with.
feel like has
Not
aged
familiar with
poorly.
those. I don't read much science fiction work.
You don't? Okay, I'm
My
so sorry. I thought
my science. No, no, no. Warhammer is a little more main. Like I watch some of the more basic sci-fi shows.
okay,
You know,
okay. It's like Star
I
Trek,
think
basically.
yeah, Star
Okay.
Trek. I think what was that show? Andromeda, all those years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Andromeda's a
Babylon
classic.
5
That's
and
a good
stuff
one.
like that.
Babylon 5 is
Yeah,
great. Yeah, yeah.
I don't really get that
Stargate,
deep into.
Stargate.
Oh, of course, Stargate. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a great movie.
Oh, I
Um,
meant the show, but that too. I mean,
oh
SG-1,
yeah, yeah,
Atlantis.
yeah. No, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just talking about the movie.
that was
Yeah,
good too. I like the movie also, but
yeah,
SG-1's
yeah. But
fantastic.
I don't. Yeah, I don't read much sci-fi. At least
Okay.
not anymore. Other than Warhammer, but I don't know if you consider Warhammer to be sci-fi.
I definitely would
I
consider
guess
it
kind of is.
elements of it sci-fi. I feel like there's
Yeah.
that discussion about whether or not something is science fiction or fantasy, like when it comes to like
Mm.
Star Wars or Warhammer, where it is so
Yeah, science
mixed.
fantasy, I think would probably be.
Yeah, probably I'd say that too. Because obviously with media is a big discussion as well, and obviously you've engaged in this as well regarding different philosophies and politics and all that pushed into the works, and not going into specifics because it's I feel it's redundant because it becomes a boxing fight over presidents or politicians, but let's
Hmm.
look more at themes and ideas.
So you're not going to vote for Trump in 28?
You know what? Probably not. I think that's safe to bet. I don't think it's controversial to say. But in general, like politics in general and sci-fi especially. I mean, I know you didn't say you're a big sci-fi guy, but with works like that, politics tend to be a big theme. Maybe not
Hmm.
specific ones, but political philosophy more specifically. Collectivism versus individualism, for example. The harms of the capitalist machine, especially in cyberpunk, like William Gibson's work, or Snow Crash, even. Neil Stephenson, I think that was. Yeah, Neil Stephenson. But yeah, no. So I think it's interesting with all that discussion. But obviously, you react very strongly to people who put politics and their philosophies into their work. What's your perspective on that? 'Cause I feel like that's interesting to discuss.
Certain politics in certain ways. I think that
I mean, I know it's a general topic, I know, but however you take it, take it.
Yeah, no. So there is, there are people on the left, but more predominantly on the left predominantly, but also on the right. Like for example, I'll just get the right out of the way because it's a much shorter thing. When the right makes media that's based around their politics, it's fucking abominable. It is atrocious. It is bad. Oh God, they tried to do a cartoon. I don't remember the name. It was one of the biggest duds in history. It was something about some old guy and interacting with his woke daughter or something.
The new norm you're talking about, right?
Oh, the new norm.
Yeah.
God, I really wish you didn't know that name. That made me think about it. Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
That's fucking embarrassing.
Pretty bad.
That is embarrassing. That is horrible on a level that's so I don't think that it's exclusively on the left, but I think that the left has infiltrated, progressives have infiltrated more of the normalized media and entertainment spaces, and their politics in many ways are just worse. And
I'm going to disagree with you on the way that I think you might like. I'm going to disagree with you on the way that I think you might enjoy. I would not say that the right-wing media is inherently bad. I think there's a lot of good works of right-wing media. A great example, that's one of the most successful film franchises of all time is a very right-wing conservative work, I'd say. And that's the Conjuring franchise. I think it's one of the most successful right-wing works in a very long time. It's pro-church, it's pro-traditional value, and
so
everyone seems to love it.
By right-wing content creators?
No, I don't think it's written by right-wing content creators, but it's very right-wing in its mentality.
When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about people that have... I'm not talking about people that may create content that's political, but people who are political that create content.
Yeah, I'd say
so that's the differentiation. The guy who created The Watchmen, his name I don't remember. Yeah, Alan Moore. He talked about Rorschach, and Rorschach was like politically in every way a disagree. He was 180 degrees from this character, but he was able to write the character brilliantly.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing there is that Alan Moore drew from The Question, who was made by Steve Ditko, who was an objectivist, an Randian objectivist, and kind of extrapolated the ideas of The Question to a new height. And The Question's been written by DC elsewhere and done really well. They tend to take the concept of the character in different directions. I think is really neat and clever and subversive. Anyway, back to your point. I didn't want to cut you off there. That's why I just got excited.
No, that's great. That's my point. My point is that there are people, whether they be left or right, that can create amazing works. There are, of course, people on the right and more noticeably on the left that are incompetent and incapable, and they can't do good work. One of the recent examples was Netflix's The Witcher series. That series in the first season was saved by Henry Cavill and his encyclopedic knowledge of the Witcher franchise. But Lauren Hissrich and the people around her, I mean, according to Henry Cavill himself, turned that into something that became damn near unwatchable. So there are people that are unqualified and incapable of doing the job, and they make terrible work, and there are a lot of them. And so I call them out when I see them. I try to be relatively fair with that type of stuff, but at the end of the day, there's just a lot of content that I disagree with fundamentally because I think that it's bad. I think that it's obnoxious. I think that it's offensive in many ways.
Okay, let's we make The Witcher because I think it's a point of that's interesting here. Would you argue? What do you think the bigger factor in The Witcher deviating from the original novels and games is? Do you think the issue is politics or market testing? Because my big issue with The Witcher is I think it took an idea that was very clever, very brilliant, and changed it to be more widely marketable as perceived by the Netflix creative crew. I think they didn't like the books. I think they didn't respect the original novel. I don't think they respected the games. And again, I think it's a bad adaptation. I do. I don't like the Witcher series as much as other people do.
If it
I
were
think it's because
one
it's
series,
disappointing.
by the way, there are too many examples. We would be here for the next 10 hours.
All right, well, then let's focus on The Witcher then.
We
Let's
can
focus on that
focus
one
on The
example
Witcher.
then. Yeah,
We
let's
can focus on The Witcher,
yeah.
but I'm going to very briefly mention another one to make the point that it's not just one focus group.
Okay,
And
not just one focus
like
group.
one focus group for this group that does this. No, it is a continuing factor that these people, these marketing types, these media types, the Halo television series.
Yeah, that's another problem
Both
right
The
there
Witcher-
too. Production by committee. That's the issue. You know, it's funny with on that front with Halo 2. One of the big issues I have with it, they take the helmet off so early on, and that's how they have no respect for the original source.
Both The Witcher and Halo are basically blank checks. It's already done. You have the built-in fan base. You have the most loyal audiences of anything in the world. It is done for you. It is a blueprint for you to basically print all the money that you want. And yet you get these artistic, progressive, creative types who come in there. Lauren Hisrich, I mean, her statements about this from the beginning.
I think here's the problem with this line of discussion. What I feel we haven't established that the changes made have any reflection of politics at all. All of them seem to me like cynical.
You don't think
choices.
that Lauren Hisrich hiring the person who said that she cast women who were non-traditionally attractive and that sort of progressive filth, that you don't think that has any sort of negative implication for the entire project, that when you're out there saying that I can do it better than these people?
No, I don't think that matters. The casting isn't the problem. The writing's the problem. No, here's the thing.
Henry Cavill constantly talked about the butting of heads that he had because he understood the character, he understood the work. Henry Cavill to that series
here's the problem.
Was a godsend.
Here's the problem. You're talking in circles here. You're not actually addressing how you can tie any political ideas to the quality of the writing. Whether or not they cast traditionally attractive women or not, I don't care. What I care about is if the story deviates too much from the original source.
It's about them doing it. It's about them saying it. They're virtue-singing. They're broadcasting their progressive left-wing ideals to people online, to media critics and other people. And Henry Cavill himself, who is an encyclopedia.
Right. We're talking in circles here. Here's the problem, though.
We're not talking in circles. I'm explaining something that you don't understand.
No. I understand what you're saying perfectly fine. The problem is it doesn't matter to what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is not how it was made. What I'm talking about was what ended up on Netflix that you can watch right now. Whatever behind the scenes bullshit happens, it reflects only in how it matters to what results on screen. Henry Cavill fought for adherence to the original text. That adherence was not respected, and the work suffered as a result. Any political thing you're discussing, it's not relevant to what the problems people have with it is.
100% relevant.
The problem people had with it was that they replaced the original text that was less impressive.
There's nothing more relevant.
There's a big issue with it.
It's people are stated feminist and progressive. No, I understand from your perspective.
But that's not
why
the
you would
issue.
want to
Isn't the
obfuscate.
feminism? The issue is.
I totally get why you would want to obfuscate from that because from your worldview, that's more progressive. That it makes you look bad, and it does.
I don't care about that. The problem is
whether
A plus B
you are
equals
fighting
C.
awfully hard to defend something that is so objectively true.
Oh, here's the problem.
people
Here's
like
the problem. You have
Lauren
to actually. What I'm asking you is this: can you provide? Specifically, what I'm asking for is one specific thing. Can you provide the definitive link between these political beliefs that you're discussing and the end quality that we got? Because the problem is the majority of people in this world don't care about whatever random news story came out. Well, let me finish my point. Most people do not care about whatever news article came out during production about the production being troubled. What they care about is what they get on screen when it comes out. No one cares about whether or not the writing staff hired all women behind the scenes or whatever. What matters is if the product they produced was worth watching. The problem with The Witcher is not the writing room. The problem is what the writers produced. If you got the best guy, if you got the best women or the best men in charge of the project, it doesn't matter because the end result's still crap. No one cares about what progress
there's any connection between a far left progressive person pushing far left progressive values, hiring far left progressive people,
I
and
don't think
creating
I
a
don't think
far
I
less
care.
progressive.
I don't care. Here's the problem. If
I
it
don't
was a,
care
if
if
it was
you
a,
care.
you know, here's
What I'm
the, I
talking
don't think that
about is
matters,
the
dude.
reality that when you bring these people in and they do this stuff, they implement these decisions, which you could say, well, it has no, it doesn't matter. What matters is this. No, what matters is when you have people that are making these decisions for political reasons or ego reasons, mixing of the two, whatever, the end result speaks for itself.
Here's the
And you
problem.
can see this over and over.
Here's the problem I have with this, though. The problem is I'm not seeing the connective tissue here. You're describing, and try to see what my perspective is, because I think here's the issue with a lot of people have with your argument. You're saying this caused this. I'm like, okay, so how did this cause this? I'm asking for specific decisions that would result to results in front of the camera. Henry Cavill is Henry Cavill's an example. Henry Cavill wanted the adaptation to be faithful. They didn't listen. That results in tangible material the audience can absorb and assimilate with and watch. Saying that they hired specific people for certain jobs, how does
with
that?
certain politics,
Whatever. How does that
with a
affect
certain
the end
perspective,
result?
with a certain agenda, with a certain mission.
Right. But here's the problem with all that. I can name tons of works that had specific missions and specific objectives behind it too. That turned out fantastic. That's redundant. I can go back and forth all day with examples of politics that are effective and politics that are ineffective. But that's not really what matters in terms of quality of writing. What matters is how it affects the quality
I have
of
a
writing.
question that's tangentially related.
Go for it.
Why do you think? And like I'm curious about your perspective on this.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think of all the content creators that are out there? Why do you think that somebody like Asmongold is one of the most popular content creators in the world right now? Why do you think before him PewDiePie? Do you think it was that they were able to capture something in an audience that just gravitates people towards them, or do you think that it was luck or chance? Because I'll tell you why I think it's completely related. I think that
I feel you're dodging the question. But I'll answer your question, but I think you're dodging the question.
No, if you would have shut up, you would have heard that I was about to elaborate.
Say your thoughts, and I'll respond.
So the reason why I think it's related is because I think that people like you see things and you try to make excuses and pick and choose, like you're at a buffet. Like, well, we don't really want to talk about that. We don't really want to focus on that. Oh, this doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, because it's inconvenient for your worldview. But the reality is that there are certain people. The reason why is because at their time, both of them were criticizing things that were considered normal, mainstream. Somebody like Asmongold continues to go out there and criticize the things that are taboo to criticize in a lot of cases. And it does apply to this because Asmongold is somebody that says the things that people agree with, but they're not allowed to say. And so he'll criticize. I would be shocked if you didn't. But my point is still valid.
No,
you look at what Asmongold criticized. Asmongold goes out there and goes, "Yeah, we don't want fat women in games."
I think you would think. I don't think that. I think they're successful because they're fast food entertainment. They're simple. They're direct.
They're fast food entertainment.
Basically, yeah. There's very little of substance. They're just easy to digest, and anyone can watch them.
I mean, there's plenty of fast food entertainment.
Asmongold's successful for the same reason that McDonald's is successful. You get it quickly. You get it. You understand. You absorb it.
Because McDonald's is corporate. McDonald's is safe, sanitized, by the numbers, repeated the same things over and over. No, it could not be more
Asmongold's
wrong,
the same thing over and over again too. They offer the audience a specific product, and they provide it
Asmongold and PewDiePie before him offer some, and this is completely and totally related to this conversation before, by the way.
All right. I don't see how yet. I'm not convinced yet. But I
promise you, I will link it all back.
Okay.
Because what you're doing here, and it's perfectly fine. I understand why with the audience you have and all that. I understand why. There's an attempt to disconnect the progressive politics that lead to these bad results that are obvious, because it's like clockwork. It really is. I mean, there are too many examples for us to go over in this one debate. But
you haven't given one example yet. That's the problem. You're giving a lot of ideas, but not connected.
I just mentioned The Witcher, Halo.
Right, but you haven't connected. The problem is you're saying names, but you're not connecting them to the core arguments you're trying to talk about.
The fact that they were bad, the fact that they were filled with people that despise the.
Yeah,
Have
but
you
like, listen,
listened? Like,
there's
I'm sure you
tons of
haven't
movies
because
that are
it's
trash. That doesn't mean
who
anything.
cares about Lauren Hissrich really? But have you heard any of the statements that she's made about people that are gamers and stuff? It's that sort of mentality
Yeah,
that
but
I'm
what
better
does it
than these
matter
people.
until
I
here's my problem. I don't think
because
the
the
average person
mentality is
cares unless
I'm
you can
better
connect
than
with a
these
good medium.
people. I can do something better than these people. I'm better than the writer. These people that have no real credibility
Well, you know who
and
else
no
has
real
said he's better
pedigree
than everyone else
that
from a
come
young
out
age?
here and think that they
Yeah.
can do it better. It is
Let me
that
give you a
sort.
let me give you a counter example then, if I may.
Yeah.
Back in the '80s, there was this one guy. He was a set designer, right? And he was hired for a job just to take McDonald's styrofoam containers and glue them to walls. That was his job. This is a true story. You'll see what I'm going with in a second. His job was to glue these things to a wall and make them look like the background. Over time, he gradually took over the production until he was the pseudo director of the film. He told the director how he could do the shots better, how the director was fucking everything up, and he would keep going on and being more aggressive, pushing harder and harder until he basically took over production without even officially changing his title on screen. In fact, the producer of the film, Roger Corman, was so impressed by this, he gave the guy a directing duty and the film failed immediately. His first directing gig, complete box office flop. I think has like 12% of Rotten Tomatoes. Miserable experience. He almost stopped directing after that. It kind of proved, despite all of his ability to take over a production from behind the scenes, he had no talent in front of the camera. But he had one more chance, and that second chance was Terminator. I'm talking about James Cameron. James Cameron went on set and said, I knew better than everyone else what I'm doing, screwed around for about 2 different films, and then produced one of the greatest works of science fiction around. The idea that someone is arrogant
Avatar?
behind the scenes doesn't matter to me. I don't care if someone thinks they're
You
better than
talking
everyone
about
else.
Avatar?
I'm talking about, hey, the guy has the most successful films of all time financially. He's doing something right. Whether or not you think Avatar is a good movie or not, I personally don't. It's doing something that's appealing to a wide audience. The problem, and James Cameron has never been subtle about putting his own beliefs and perspectives on the films. One of the reasons why you didn't
James
get to do...
Cameron did not put his own beliefs in Avatar.
Yeah, he did. What are you talking about? The
Avatar,
movie's an
the
environmentalist...
reason why Avatar worked.
Hang on.
Two
Well,
reasons.
let's
I
address that
understand
first point. Hang
I
on.
understand it's irrelevant.
Well,
But the reason
can I
why
respond to your first...
Avatar worked
Dude,
has
before
nothing
you say
to do
that,
with
let's
his
respond to your
personal
first point.
politics.
Let's respond to your first point. You said
No,
that
no,
James Cameron doesn't put his own
get it out of the
perspectives
way.
into...
The reason why Avatar worked is because it was, I mean, visually it was very beautiful, but also it was a simple story that people understood. It was, you call it Titanic in space. It's a very simple
Titanic
story
in
that
space.
people
Who the fuck calls it
resonated
Titanic in
with.
space? It's Pocahontas in space, mostly. Dances with Wolves in
Whatever.
space. Big difference there.
Titanic was his biggest movie. So
Yeah.
Titanic in space.
Okay, well, let's evaluate something
My
right here. You
point
said
is,
that he hasn't put his own...
it's a very simple love story, so it appeals to both men and women. It's a very simple formula of, Romeo and Juliet. It's a tried and true thing. That's why it works. It's not about the politics of it
You don't
or
think so,
anything
huh?
like that.
Okay, let's
It's
analyze that for a second, shall we?
it's something that people of all different groups can relate to. It's that simple of a story.
So you don't think
That's
the
why it
idea of a
works.
company going to a planet to mine it of natural resources and thus colonizing an indigenous people, displacing them from their territory, mass genociding them in the process of getting a resource from the ground, there's nothing political about that? No
Yes,
political elements to
because
that at all?
it is the entire perspective from the modern left of the Native Americans versus the colonial settlers.
Right. So then James Cameron did put his political thoughts into the film.
But
And likewise, the next film, he
that's
goes
not
deep
what
underwater and worships the
but
water
that's
and looks at
not
the environment of the water and
that's
sees
not
how mankind
political,
infects the water environments. James
It's
Cameron
not
is one of
really
the biggest
political,
deep
though.
divers
Most
in the...
people,
Hang on.
like, are
Hang
you
on.
saying that
Templar,
Disney is
I'll let you finish. Let me
political
finish
for
first.
making
Templar,
Pocahontas? Like, no.
Templar, I let you finish. Let me finish my point for two, all right? Is that fair?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
cool. Excellent. So James Cameron is one of the biggest divers in the world. He has done deep dives to the bottom of the Mariana Trench more than any other human being on the planet. Do you think it's any coincidence that 2 of his most successful films are Titanic, a movie about a ship that sinks, where he, by the way, financed the trip to see the Titanic in process and preparation for his movies? It's almost like an excuse to look at it for the right there. And his second biggest one, well, the second biggest hit, I guess, in history now, is After the Way of Water, a movie about a society that integrates its entire structure with the water. Is it any coincidence that the guy who's obsessed with water two of his actually three if you count The Abyss, are all about deep diving underwater. Do you think it's any coincidence? Do you think that that's not an idea of James Cameron putting his own personal feelings and beliefs into the media he's talking about?
His political beliefs or his hobbies or interests?
They're both interconnected. It's both the hobby of deep diving, but also environmental preservation. That's a huge political idea. That's one of the biggest political ideas around. Political lobbies about environmentalism have been there since the environment started, really. We've been talking about environmental cohabitation for years.
James Cameron actually proves my point.
And what's your point?
Because James Cameron
just to clarify, your point was that James Cameron did not integrate any political ideas into his films. How is that not the case?
I didn't say that.
Say it yourself. You just said it 5 minutes ago.
No, I didn't. He didn't put when you're trying to conflate politics, like who did James Cameron vote for and political interests?
Why does that matter? Environment is a political interest. Not all politics are what politician you vote for. Political interest can be what policies you want to see it.
Fine, but they're not connected. Like hobbies and stuff like that. Like they don't gravitate as well to the screen. But anyway, my point, getting back to that, we were talking about the Witcher series, and the reason why I was saying that about Asmongold was because, and it does relate, because you're talking about somebody that talks about things that are considered to be taboo or unpopular in a way that people can gravitate to, and things that people agree with but aren't allowed to say or haven't been allowed to say for a while. Mm-hmm. It's part of the reason why he's popular. It's part of the reason why some of these new shows that are coming out or games that are coming out from the East are popular.
Because now we're conflating two different things here, but I want to address the one thing you mentioned with Asmongold with
try to keep up. We're talking about.
I'm keeping up just fine. I don't think anything he said
we're talking about the same thing here. You have to. Yes, I mentioned
you're mentioning taboos and saying what you can't say. The problem is I don't think anything he has. You're talking about two of the biggest streamers because they don't say anything taboo. They say what a certain demographic wants to hear, and nothing beyond that. Taboo is going beyond.
Asmongold is the largest political streamer and regular streamer on the internet.
Yeah, he's a big streamer. No argument there.
He's huge.
Yeah,
how is that possible? How is that possible? He's able to do that. You say he's like
because he has a widespread appeal. Taboo is very different, though. Taboo is what's not mainstream. If you say something taboo, it means you're going against the grain.
What he believes is mainstream.
Nothing he says is particularly that shocking, dude. It's just stuff you've seen before. Yeah, nothing particularly is that shocking.
I'm really glad that you said that. That nothing that Asmongold says is that mainstream. So
no, I did not say that. I said nothing he said is not mainstream. It's all he's just saying what a demographic of the country thinks, and it's just right back at them. He's not pushing anyone. He's just repeating things that he's seen. Most of his reaction streams is him sitting down and saying, "Oh, that's true. That's true." He's not really saying anything that's particularly controversial. And when he does say something controversial, his audience gets divided over it. He's not particularly that shocking. He's pretty much exactly what you expect. And he said, the reason I don't talk about Asmongold on my channel is because there's not much to talk about. It's very straightforward. It's more interesting to me to talk about things that are taboo, that do break the mold, because there's more worth discussing.
Really so you agree with us that we should we should continue mass deportations and stuff like that?
I never said anything like that. I said that
I agree with you. It's not controversial at all. No,
I said his perspective aligns with a specific audience.
I'm just giving you shit. I don't really care. But of course the point is that they
Here's the question. Yeah. What do you, I think one thing we have to discuss, because I think it's relevant to everything you're talking about, they'll really hammer home. And then we'll break for a couple super chats real quick, so they've been piling up on my end, and they might be worth discussing on your end as well. My question ultimately is what does taboo even mean to you? Because we're talking about what's taboo, what isn't. I want to make sure that my definition of taboo aligns with what your definition of taboo is.
So a couple of years ago, and I think that understanding this through the prism of the time period,
just a simple definition that we can just work with.
A simple definition. A taboo was something that if you said it publicly, there would be repercussions to your career, reputation, something that would affect you negatively.
Okay, so then
in
you
the
agree
extreme
nothing that
people.
Asmongold has ever done is taboo then, because people say it all the time publicly and don't get any consequences for it.
Well, I mean, Asmongold did get banned for 2 weeks for saying that the Palestinians had an inferior culture to ours, which
I'll give you that. That is pretty taboo. But like the average Hassan mention is more taboo than by your definition. So then, if your argument is that the taboo is more interesting, then or more dynamic, or more of a reason for success, then Hassan would be more successful than Asmongold by your logic. But he's not. So you see where my issue with your reasoning comes in. I don't think it's. I think it's self-contradictory.
Hassan is pretty successful. He is the
No,
number two streamer
he's
right
very
after
successful.
Asmongold, but
He's very successful because he's
right
also not
after
really pushing
Asmongold.
too much of the taboo. He's saying a lot of what certain people believe very strongly. Again, the question is not whether or not they're right. That doesn't factor into it. I'm not saying either or is right. I don't really particularly like either of them. What I'm saying is they are stating something that a large demographic of people believe, and that brings them an audience that is large. I don't think if you're really taboo, usually that really isolates your audience. It restricts how many people watch you. To be
Is that
truly,
you believe that's true?
yeah, because if you say things that piss too many people off, they tune out. They stop listening. I
Then
honestly think it's a
can you
good taboo. Is
explain
just
to me based on what you just stated? How does Nick Fuentes have such a large audience?
he really doesn't. He does not have that compared to, if we're talking about in terms of Asmongold and in terms of Hassan, he does not have that big of an audience. And his audience doesn't really.
Do you realize that the interview, whenever Nick Fuentes, I'm not defending Nick Fuentes by any means, but Nick Fuentes, the views that he gets when he goes onto a show are about on par with some of the biggest names in politics, some of the biggest names, period.
I don't really think that's the case. His audience is much smaller.
Did you see the
if we're talking in terms, dude, we're talking in terms of Netflix shows, the biggest streamers in the world, in Avatar, by comparison, he is much smaller than all of them combined, and all of them individually. It's just numbers. By comparison to these things we're talking about, he is far, 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 far below in terms of size of these very mainstream things we're talking about. Now, not to get a small audience, he doesn't, but he has a substantially smaller audience than these other concepts we're talking about here.
Okay, you can say that, but his audience is pretty massive.
Whatever you say there, but I don't think it's if we're talking about in terms of mainstream success, which is what we're talking about, it's not relevant in proportion to that because it's
you think that Hassan and Asmongold are mainstream, and that's why they get the most success.
I haven't said they're mainstream, but I'm saying they're more mainstream. Mainstream is different. Mainstream is like, friggin' ABC News. That's Jimmy Kimmel
who do you think is the most
News.
mainstream content creator right now?
Mainstream content creator?
Of any
talking period?
Yeah, just who's
the NFL.
Most mainstream. You think the NFL is the most mainstream?
I'd say the NFL probably is one of the most in America. Actually, the most mainstream is soccer, technically, but football really. You didn't specify what platform.
No, I didn't. I just wanted. I thought you were going to mention like a person, like a content creater, but
no, you said you didn't. I'm talking beyond that. Mr. Beast, another example
I know.
too.
No, which is why it's fun. It's fun, but soccer is huge. Not here so much in the U.S., but
cricket also I'd say is a big one too. More than football, cricket's massive. Cricket, it's funny. Cricket was the thing that kind of spurred on Disney Plus losing a bunch of subscribers because when they lost the cricket rights, they lost billions of dollars. Basically,
cricket
revenue.
is really that big.
Oh, it's massive. Oh yeah, dude. You look at the they dropped the cricket rights for Disney Plus back, I think in 2022, 2021, something like that. Disney stock dropped several points because they dropped cricket. It was bigger than it was massive. Like a lot of people are going, oh, it's because these movies didn't succeed. No, it's because they lost cricket rights. That's what it was. Because all the losses were in India and Pakistan and South Asia because cricket is massive over there.
Huh.
Oh yeah, it's one of the biggest.
I
didn't know soccer.
I didn't know that cricket was that big.
Oh yeah, dude, it's second to soccer in terms of annual revenue, in terms of audience size. Because, the problem is with America, we look at American sports and think, oh, well, baseball, soccer, football, those are the big sports. Like, no. Go to overseas, it's cricket.
Watches baseball and football anymore.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people do. But You go overseas, it's cricket. That's the big one. Yeah.
Nobody watches like the World Series. Nobody gathers around to watch the World Series anymore. It's pretty minimalist. I mean, it is sad that baseball has become reduced in popularity.
I mean,
I'd say
I live outside New York, so when the Yankees are playing, it causes a lot of traffic jams. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, the reason why people care about the Yankees, well, I mean, people like to root against the Yankees, but people cared about the Yankees because of the different rivalries and drama and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna let some super chats play real quick, if that's okay. Just let some questions come in.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you're watching the stream too, so you can probably see these as well. I don't think I need to repeat them too much. So I'll let them play out real quick.
At DJLol58085 super chatted $2.32. Honest to God, furries cannot catch a break.
You really can't. Guys catching strays everywhere. I'm so sorry.
At Ghost Gamer Gaming super chatted $5. I can't take someone seriously who sounds like they have a moon face
you guys
and got
having
banned
fun?
from Silvervale's Discord LMAO.
Oh, Silvervale. That's a character right there.
Uh,
Oh, what was that? That was oh, thank you for the membership there. Sorry.
At VeryMelonman12 super chatted $5. Zentrea's problem is this. I just feel like people who don't hold any right-wing sympathies don't start ranting about woke
Cricket is big in
snowflakes
England.
when
Yep.
pressed.
There we
that's
go.
where I imagine it would be.
It's fair enough with Centralia. Yeah, with those colonialism with
At Stingertopia 3169 super chatted $10.
Ah, yes.
Crusades were bad Templar. They were started on lies.
Yep.
They even attacked Byzantium for them being barbarian non-Christians.
Yep, that's
Any
true.
Christian should be disgusted with crusades.
Janissary says,
Catholics really are.
Dude,
Yeah.
unban me. So, did
At the
somebody
Gaming
ban
Truth super
Janissary
chatted
in my
$5.
chat?
You can have your opinion,
wrong.
but objectively
Bob,
and
have you been-
subjectively are
have you
two
been
different
busy?
things.
That's
You've
also
been
very true.
banning
Objective and subjective, very different.
Have you been banning people in chat?
At Stingertopia 3169 super chatted
Oh, man.
$5. Templar the type of Christian to only listen to Old Testament parts that fit him. I bet he doesn't even know that the Bible is a collection of books.
the
I'm
things I
sure
do
he
for
knows
you
that.
guys.
I wouldn't go that far.
At strange_trees super chatted $3.58. Traditional values aka women can reject me and they shouldn't be allowed to.
I hope that's not traditional values people have, but I'm sure some do think that.
At lucky_dagger super chatted $5. Marriage existed before and independent of
This guy
Christianity.
says,
100%, and it will exist after as
I'm
well.
Catholic, and even I think the Crusades are nothing
At
to
Wing
be
of
happy
Shoe super
about.
Yeah, they
chatted
are.
$2.
They really are.
Battletech competes in
The
war
Crusades were
stories to
justified.
40K.
They really weren't, dude. They
Yeah,
were
they
just a
really
trade route, Spade. But dude,
Yeah.
At Sam last
They
name
were just to make money.
B6N
That's all it
super
was.
chatted
It's all about
$4.99.
It's about
Apparently
Muslims
Star
invading.
Giant doesn't mind AI art as long as it's for personal use.
oh,
Want to take
fuck
a
Star
guess on
Giant.
what might that
That's
be?
terrible. I hate that. She's terrible then. He's terrible then. I'm so sorry.
At Bob of the Old Ways super
Refers to
chatted
the
Oh, it's a Bob.
$10. This guy has the power relations backwards. Hollywood isn't forcing diversity, it's being forced into diversity by demographics
No, I'm
and
not
market
gonna ask
forces. His worldview is inevitably and
gonna-
unavoidably dead by
That's
2045.
a fair point. It is influenced by market factors like that. That's the biggest factor. Market, ultimately.
At Stingertopia 3169 super chatted $5. Aries, give Templar a brain or take his mouth.
Are
and
you
my
almost
life
done
is
reading the super
yours.
chats?
That is still coming.
This conversation has gotten sad though. Like, how did his parents raise him, man?
That's a good God of War reference all the time. I love that.
At Shyam Ferguson 6595 super
that's a
chatted
topic for the day,
$5.
but-
Ant, what do you think of the Netflix merger with WB and Future of
that's a
DC,
rough
Cartoon
one.
Network, and JoJo Bizarre Adventure?
Oh, with JoJo especially. Won't have that get lost. That's rough. No, the merger is terrible.
At
no matter who
Proletarian
gets
Pride super chatted
it.
$2.
Super chat, even though it's there's no message there.
Bob, don't ban Otterly Noah in chat. Let
At
him
Gamer
stay
Ninja
there.
24 super chatted
he's fine there.
$5.
He's
It is a very
harmless,
dangerous thing to
furry
mistake
weirdo, but-
speaking without thought
Yeah,
for
don't
speaking the
ban him.
truth.
There we go.
Benoit Blanc.
But that movie has a lot of great lines. What those movies you say.
At Demi Supremi super chatted $2. When will RAM food prices decrease? Real politics.
That's the real thing. How much the price of eggs are.
At Charlie Price 8372 super chatted $10. I think the core problem with Templar's argument is that you fundamentally lack the ability to evaluate the quality of art on its own merits separate from
That's a
politics.
big factor, and I'll discuss that next.
I got headaches.
That's a good thing I'm going to bring up actually right now. I'm going to pause supers after this one. Super chat?
At Ghost Gamer Gaming super chatted $5. So if furries are degenerate, why does Templar simp for lolicons then? That's also degenerate.
Yeah, that's also true. That's a fair point. That's another form of degeneracy right there. Okay, so here's one question too that I think really relevant. A big issue here seems to be that certain
it's not, but I know what you're going to ask. That retard in your chat asked it, but it's perfectly fine. I have no problem. I have no problem with you asking it.
I was going to ask about the question about judging art with politics.
Judging what?
Yeah, I was going to ask you the super chat before that one you're referring to.
Yeah.
I have no interest in discussing anything involving that particular topic, but I do want to discuss because I feel like that's a exercise in allowing you to talk about a topic I have no interest in sharing with my audience. But the discussing politics is what I'm more interested in.
Your audience is obsessed with that shit.
I would rather talk about discussing how to judge art separate from politics.
Sure.
So, frankly speaking, a big issue I think a lot of people have with your particular brand of criticism is that it feels as though you judge art completely dependent on the politics therein, and not art as actually a work that's worth discussing. So, for example, you're talking with The Witcher in terms of, the politics are bad. Well, the problem with The Witcher is the show sucks. You know, the problem is the show's writing sucks. It's a bad adaptation. It's not good. And that's independent of politics. That's bad writing. It's simplified writing. It's basic writing. The show, the original novels have politics in them. That's not the problem. The problem is how it's articulated. And there's works that I love that personally I would say are very political. And with politics I don't agree with. One of my all-time favorite films, for example, and books is William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist. And it's a highly conservative work. Blatty was an outspoken conservative. Novel's still amazing. Movie's still amazing. Although that being said, William Friedkin. His politics were more left, but right there the works are very different. So how can we go about judging? How do you approach a show or story you like with politics you disagree with?
So you mentioned like The Witcher.
Yeah. So
I mean, there are a lot of different books in politics with things that I disagree with. It's just like I said, it's how it's implemented. So, like for example, The Witcher. The book series. I mean, it's very different from the games, which is very different from the movies or the Netflix series. There are changes that are made to appeal to modern progressive audiences that really don't.
Give me an example.
From
the books to the game specifically, because I feel like that's
So in the Witcher series. It takes place in a certain area, a certain point in time. Well, that is considered unacceptable by some people. And if you were to adapt the book, The Witcher, in a direct one-to-one way, you would definitely be criticized because you don't have enough representation for a modern audience. And so I think stuff like that, I think in parts of it, it's fine. If I know that some people are more purist in nature, but for me, I think that if there is a change politically or sexually or in terms of race, I think it has to make sense.
Of course, you're right about one thing. I do think it's weird how sometimes they'll change. For example, Wuthering Heights, for example, they whitewashed Heathcliff. Heathcliff is black in the book, but he's always white in the adaptations. That's strange, isn't it?
I was going to give you an example. For example, I think that picking Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury was a brilliant decision.
It's a great decision. It's a fantastic choice.
And do you know why?
Because he's a great actor and can command the screen well. He has a good commanding presence.
That's right.
And of course, given how
That's right. But huge also, star.
Yeah,
he's a great actor.
Yeah.
He's charismatic and he can do the job.
Yeah, great casting choice there.
That's exactly right. So in some cases it makes sense. But I think that in a lot of cases the changes are made not because it's a super high, well paid actor who's very talented. It's usually something more petty or political or spiteful, and decisions are made. Thank you for the donation, brother. Um, but the decisions are made for reasons that I don't necessarily agree with. What do I do with that?
Well, hang on.
Well, I'll watch it.
There's an issue with this logic right now that I can
I'll
address
watch
right
it.
now. Well, specifically with Nick Fury. He was black in the Ultimate Comics, designed actually after he was actually designed after Samuel L. Jackson in the Ultimate Comics,
but most
which is
people
before they had the movies came out.
before Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, I mean, Nick Fury's probably been purple in the comics. The comics
he
have been
ever
going
has,
on
no.
for so long. The comics have been going on for so long. Like I don't
About
think
30
that
years
there's
at that point.
Yeah, I don't think that all comic adaptations are ones that should be respected. I don't think that you have to respect all comic adaptations.
Okay, then why should we respect by that same virtue? Why is the book any better?
I'll give you an example.
Why is the if we're
it
not
would be
respecting the
very-
comics like
I
that?
think
Why is
that
the
for
book holding
me-
text with The Witcher?
I think because I think that there are different levels to this. And comic books, by the way, are very weird. I think it would be very unusual, although it may be pretty funny, if in a Superman movie, if the next Superman movie came out and they introduced pink kryptonite. I think that'd be very funny, but I
think it'd be
think
very
that
entertaining too. But I think also that I enjoy seeing
my point
more
is
obscure elements of the
you
comics
don't have
introduced.
to introduce everything from the comics. You can make certain changes. The difference being is the motivation and intent, and is it a good decision for the franchise? If you have a decision that's being made, you have to think about what effect does this have. It's sort of like in chess, where when you move a piece, you have to think about a couple things. What was the piece protecting? Where are you moving it to? Like you have to think about a couple things in mind. You can't just start moving things. There has to be some order to it. And
Right,
oftentimes,
so why is it
what
then that people
what
get
it
upset with
feels like-
changes before the movie comes out? The big
Oftentimes what
issue is with a lot of these is that they complain about changes before the film comes out. So you think you're left going like, okay, you don't know where the chess piece is. To your logic, yeah, you are right. There has to be intent, but you don't see the intent till the movie comes out. So why is it that people get upset before the chips are down?
One of
when they,
the
react?
most important things that you can do, and this is true of everything. It's true of what you do. It's true of what I do. It's true of movies, video games, comic books. Presentation, what you show and what you don't show is everything. Sort of like the magician's code. What
Right,
you
but
show
why,
and what you
why,
don't
then,
show.
and why then do people get upset
you-
before we know what the presentation is?
If you can't get people interested in what you're offering by what you're able to show them, then you failed.
But that's fundamentally different than what you just described. You described an intentionality of chess moves. Chess moves aren't always
From the creator.
visibly from the creator, whatever that might be in this context. But you're talking about intentionality, and that usually takes a few steps. In chess, often, you may set up a move in move like 7 that pays off in move 17 really, really well. Or you might take a piece off the board that they can't use later on, whatever that might be. But usually it's multiple steps ahead of time planning. You're describing the initial gut reaction. That's not chess. That's maybe baseball. That's where reactions come into play. Chess is careful. Chess is planned out.
do you watch chess on TV? Do you watch like Hikaru and some of the other content
Yes,
creators?
I do. I've played chess for years.
So do
yeah.
I watched chess. Chess is a particularly boring game for most people. So do you know what they did to try to make chess more appealing to average audiences?
Speeding it up.
Well, not just speeding it up. They had an event, Team America versus Team India. Hikaru and Gotham Chess were on Team America, and then they had I think it was Gukesh on Team India, and they had it like in an arena where there were people, there was lights, music. They put on a whole like it was a sporting event.
Yeah, exactly.
They had jerseys.
It's not the
Did you
first
see
thing they
that?
did either. No, I've seen it. It's not the first time they've done stuff like that. They've had ways
Oh
of
no,
presenting it,
not
and
at all.
amping it up.
But to generate, because chess is a very fascinating game, very traditional, but to market it, I mean, people once they started watching, it's very entertaining. These guys are very good, but to get people to watch, they did this high production value sports jerseys, And then at the end of it, Hikaru picked up his opponent's king and tossed it into the crowd. And people were, oh my gosh. So the presentation to get people interested and to make them go, oh yeah, this is something I want to watch. It is, I would say, almost as important as the actual product itself. These are all very important things. So when you have something like The Witcher or whatever it is, Mario, could be anything. You have to get people invested in your marketing and what you're presenting first and foremost. And if you can't do that, you have fucked up, even if the product itself is good.
Right, but nothing you just said actually addressed my question. What I asked was, if we're talking about the intentionality behind the text, that's a different question than marketing. I know marketing. I don't disagree. You gotta sell your idea to your audience to get them in the seats. But we're not talking about ticket sales. We're talking about the quality of writing. No matter how many butts the best movies of the year are never the ones that make the most money. It's usually, so maybe they make a little bit of money, but it's not always that. The question is not, how do you sell an idea to the audience? Because that's not what I'm asking. Because you brought up the idea of intentionality and value to the text itself, which is separate from how many tickets you can sell. So my question is, why would the gut reaction of an audience in response to a casting announcement have any actual tangible reflection on the quality of a story that no one outside the film crews, or even not even the film crews if it's that early in production, have seen?
Like I said, it's the job of the team to put forward the best presentation to convince the audience that the writing is going to be good.
Right, but we're not talking about convincing the audience. The writing's now available. I'm talking about the product itself. The story, the film, the show, the book, the game, whatever it might be itself. Isolated in and of itself. We're not talking about how to sell it. We're not talking about how to get butts in theaters. We're not talking about the preamble. We're talking about the game itself. Why is it fair for people, I'll rephrase it to make sure I'm not being unclear here. What value is there in criticism of media that makes a casting announcement that you may not agree with on the outset, if the intentionality behind the casting decision makes sense, the performance is good, and it all makes sense when you see it? To give you an example, George A. Romero, right? Night of the Living Dead, cast the best guy for the role of the main character. That guy happened to be a black man. He didn't write the role for a black man. He didn't change the script when he cast a black man. But it just so happened to be a black man at the tail end of the civil rights, the initial civil rights movement. The movie was being brought to theaters for distribution the day Martin Luther King was assassinated, and as a result of that kind of happenstance, the film took on a political message that was not intentional, and thus the end result. You can't market a film based on that. You couldn't plan for that kind of thing to happen. Sure. It's simply speaking, the circumstance in which the film was delivered to audiences was different fundamentally than it was when it was first filmed.
Yeah,
you can't plan for that. That just things just happen sometimes.
Sure. And life happens.
Yeah, and that resulted in a film that had a very strong message to its audience. Regardless of the fact it wasn't intentional, they didn't have any plan of it. It just happened that way. Although Romero would later on have more intentionality with his text in that regard. And I think Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead are actually better films than Night of the Living Dead, but that's in the discussion of the day. Point is,
what does that have to do with this conversation?
Oh, I'm explaining. The casting choice was different than what was initially intended. And as a result, it resulted in work that was more sophisticated. In the case of films, they may cast someone that you initially do not understand why they were cast. Maybe even the director doesn't know why they cast them. But the end result that is delivered to audiences results in artistic merit. It is something valuable to the audience as a result, even if that isn't apparent to the creatives when they're making the film.
Sure.
So why is it, in this case, that people have any justified right to critique a casting choice for being different from the original text if the end product is successful? I'm not saying.
Well, first of all, you have the right to critique anything you want. But when you're talking about that, I'm reminded of what's his name, Daniel Craig, being cast as James Bond. He had a lot of pushback when he initially got cast as James Bond.
True,
people thought that he was going to be the worst James Bond, and people were very critical. In fact, he got scathing reviews. What do you mean he can't drive a stick shift? Oh, he's blonde,
Yeah,
pretty boy.
agreed.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, people criticized him at the time, and then he came and he proved them wrong, didn't he?
Yeah.
People went to that film because they wanted to be proven right and to see him fail, and he changed their mind, didn't he?
Yeah, no argument there. He did a great job.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
he absolutely did. He did a fantastic job. So, what I'm talking about with marketing, you can have a movie that appears one way, and you have the expectation going into it, but then when you get in there, everything is turned on a dime. And you're like, wow, that guy's really good. That is possible.
Yes, but that's also
it
not what we were
doesn't
initially
mean
talking about.
that there isn't value in the initial criticism, or that the initial criticism doesn't motivate people behind the scenes to do better or be better or be driven to be better. Maybe Daniel Craig saw that criticism and said, fuck this, I'm going to do the best damn job that anyone's ever seen with James Bond. And maybe that is ultimately what helped to propel to make things better. I can't speak for all content creators, and I wouldn't dare to, because they wouldn't want me speaking for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one of the things that at least I want when I criticize things is for things to get better.
Oh,
I
yeah.
criticize
I
things
want
not
the
because
best for
I want them
everyone,
to fail. I want them to get better. From my perspective, I think that the way that you get things better is by being critical, and sometimes harshly critical. But because I think that a lot of times there are these different interests, lobbyist groups, whatever you want to call it, in Hollywood and in these different spaces that blow smoke up each other's ass because they don't want to be honest. And the
You're right.
way
There are a lot of
that
groups that blow smoke up people's asses.
way that
You're
you
completely
cut
correct. There's a
through
lot of
that,
groups that blow smoke up people's
the
asses and
way
make
that you cut
distracting the
through
issues.
that is by being directly honest and telling people the uncomfortable truth. Now,
Agreed.
you
Yeah,
could
oh,
be
yeah.
wrong. You could be
You
wrong.
could be wrong. You're right.
That's perfectly fine. You could be wrong. However, it doesn't mean that there isn't value in the attempt of it.
However,
And
then
if you,
by that
if you,
metric, though, if I may, because I'm seeing where
sure,
you're going with this,
sure,
and I want to make sure I
sure,
bring
sure.
it home for you. You're saying then that criticizing casting choices that are different racially than the original characters in the original works early on isn't useful criticism because it could change your mind at the end or prove you wrong at the end, and that casting actors that are not expected of you initially may be premature. Wait for the product before you make a snap judgment about whether or not a casting choice makes sense or not. If the role is bad, it's bad, and you can criticize it then. There are plenty of actors, I think, who were miscast in roles, but seemed on paper to be perfect, and vice versa. But
Yeah,
that also
yeah,
tells me
that's
that the
fine.
entire
But no one has to wait
well,
to
you
make a
said
decision.
just
Nobody,
now.
no one ever
You just said just
does.
now that it was not always apparent.
That
And there are groups that blow smoke up people's asses,
yes,
making a
but
big deal about
if you
casting
listen to
choices when
what
it's not relevant.
I said that there is still value in the initial criticism and the initial perception, putting it out there, and that could be up to the actor or studio or director to change things and prove them wrong, or it can be used to make things worse. Not anything intentional per se, but the example I thought of
Okay.
was Ghostbusters 2016 as it relates to how they injected criticism from the audience into the movie as like them actually talking about different criticism, and that ultimately I think was a bad decision and made it worse. So
I mean,
there
of course,
can
Ghostbusters 2016 had tons of issues, and I think casting was a factor. You cast a bunch of improv actors in a role that needs to have a more structured script with a director who's more
sure,
improv focused. That's a big issue.
sure,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I
the
think I think
vitriol,
Kate McKinnon was pretty good, but what are you gonna do?
the vitriol towards fans criticizing it,
Well,
I think was funny. I think was pretty funny, and
I don't
I
know. I
did
don't know
like.
about that because the problem
I
is they
well,
didn't.
I
The
like
problem is they didn't focus on the
I
parts that
liked
were bad about it.
what's his name, Angry Video Game Nerd. I liked his
Yeah, I agree with his
video on it.
perspective too. It was a
Yeah,
betrayal of
yeah,
what
but
Harold Ramis was trying to
that,
do because they
but
only made
we
it
could have
after he
been wrong.
died. He spent
We could have been wrong though. It could have come out and it could have been an amazing movie. It doesn't change that the initial perspective is what it was, and it is valuable
but
to share that.
I don't think any of the
The
early criticism is why
the
I
only
dislike the film,
thing
though.
here's the only way I would have an issue with it. And to be fair, I have seen people do this. I have seen people in the commentary space do this, where they make an initial perception, an initial perspective, they make it abundantly clear, and then the thing comes out and it's not as good or not as bad as they thought, and they refuse to correct their opinion. They double and triple down. They make excuses for why that's the case. They just keep doubling down content, whatever. I think that is something that you can perfectly validly criticize. But I have no problem.
Perfectly valuable. I don't think you can really justify some of the things being said about the Ghostbusters 2016 movie, though, because they directly attack the actresses. There was Leslie Jones, right? She was being criticized for being black. The problem with the movie wasn't that she was black; that had no impact on it. The problem was that the movie sucked.
Nobody gave a shit that she was black. It was her attitude. Her attitude
towards people criticizing her for being black.
If you want to say that the reason of that she was being criticized for being black, you're going to have to explain why people were okay with Ernie in the original Ghostbusters being black. Why they liked that character and thought Ernie Hudson. I think that was his name, right?
Ernie Hudson, it's Ernie Hudson. But that's because here's the problem. When Ghostbusters came out, there was no hype behind it. It just came out.
How is it? They liked his character. They did, and he was a black man. There's no question about that. We're not like Michael Jacksoning here. It's not like he was pretending. The fact
he's probably aged best out of all the Ghostbusters. I'll tell you, be blunt about it.
he was a fantastic part of the team. No one had an issue with that. So if you want to convince me that the reason why people attack Leslie Jones was because she's black, you're going to have to explain why people are okay with this and not okay with this.
Very simple.
And there has to be something.
It's actually very simple. It's very simple. One was a movie that came out in the 80s, and one was a sequel to Ghostbusters where they changed something. Secondly, Ernie Hudson's a black man. Leslie Jones is a black woman. Black women face different discrimination towards black men. It's misogynoir right there. It's racism and misogyny combined.
Misogynoir.
That's the word. It's a combination. It's a base.
Misogynoir.
Misogynoir. It's an old word, actually. It's been around since the 60s.
So people weren't racist to Ernie Hudson. They liked him.
Oh, they were also racist to Ernie Hudson, but that's different. They were also racist to him.
It's like a World of Warcraft when you have a buff or a debuff, then it gets expanded. So you can like the black guy, but when you don't like the woman, then you get that extra racism on there. So it's like a compounding debuff, right?
I will say this: it's very strange then that Leslie Jones, before she ever said anything, got the most hate out of all the four women on the team. Doesn't it strike you as odd how she was the one who got the most attention before she said anything in response? It's just the initial trailer comments. If you look at those, why is that she in particular? What's different about her from the rest of the women that got her the most hate?
Is it possible that this is a compounding effect?
Also, Ernie Hudson got racism thrown at him too. It's not unique to just her. They both face racism.
Is it possible that it was a compounding effect?
No, I don't think so. I think it's
a negative impression of the movie beforehand, and it went from thing to thing to thing to thing, and then they got to her? Or do you think that all of a sudden people were like, you know what, I may give this movie a try, but there's a black woman in it, so I'm not going to watch it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think it matters either way. I think the fact of the matter is that she still got the blunt attention for it. It doesn't matter if it was a compound thing or if it was a racist who was like, I'm on board with this movie until I see a black woman. I don't think it matters either way. The end result's what matters. What the motivations are of every individual person, I don't care. The end result is the only thing people have to listen to.
Huh.
You see, here's the thing. Here's the difference. I don't care necessarily how many different motivations lead to an end result. What matters is the end result. If, there's a water main break, I don't care if there was pressure behind the valve, if someone crashed into a tree. I don't care if the main was old. All I care about is there's water on the street and I can't drive on it and I have no water going to my house. I care about the results of it, not always how it leads to it.
So you're not curious in what leads up to it. You just look at what you perceive as the end result.
Listen, if a drunk driver hits a kid, do I care how many drinks he had?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I care the kid's dead.
Yeah.
I don't care what led to it.
No, you care about how many drinks he had.
Yeah, I care the kid was. I care that the kid was hurt.
The guy had. You care about where he had the drinks. No, you care about all the details if you care about that stuff. Because more information gives you the ability to put things in place.
Bring the kid back to life? No, you can't. That's it. The problem is, all those are great for the investigation, for who's accountable, but that doesn't change the pain people go through. That's the problem. Like we can do crime scene examinations all we want of the motivations of every
By the way,
one of the
I
individual
do
thousand
remember
people.
what you're talking about with Leslie Jones. She was particularly nasty online to a lot of
It was
people.
in response to things, dude. Here's the
Well,
thing: she didn't just wake up one day and decide to clack back at people. She was receiving
yeah,
thousands and
she kind of
thousands of
did.
personalized messages to her personal life. She was getting
She kind of
emails. She
did.
was getting phone calls. She
Yeah.
was getting comments all over the place.
Listen,
If
that's fine. That's fine if you want to interpret it that way. But no, a lot of these people are Hollywood celebrities. They are elitist. They are arrogant. They are nasty. We've seen this time and time and time again. It
Templar,
doesn't
look
matter.
at how you
race.
responded to criticism in my comments against you. That's only a couple hundred people. Multiply
Yeah.
that by 10,000 every second of the day for months.
Brother, I've gotten worse
Right,
from
but you still
people.
reacted like that way to my comment section. Imagine
A
being
lot of
someone
it,
who's getting
a lot of it,
massive
I
amounts
don't.
of
But more,
feedback,
more,
negative feedback, constantly
yeah.
throughout the day.
But you know what? I'm aware. I'm aware of the fact that as a smaller channel, that it's proportional. And I take a look at some of the other content creators. How much of that stuff do you think that some of the larger content creators get? And
That's
it
not
seems
relevant
that
to what we're talking about right now. We're talking about how a
handle
person
it.
experienced mass hatred and responded to it. That's all we're talking about. We're not
Yeah,
whether
well,
whether you we're talking
yeah.
about this specific example
Who
with this specific
cares?
context.
They're a celebrity. They're a millionaire. They're extremely wealthy. Nothing that anyone said changed that. There are going to be people that push back. And by the way, I find it incredibly rich we're having this conversation. And you know why?
How come?
Because there was a, and I'm sure you'll be against this because this is just this is just a
Let's
slam
hear
dunk.
it. Let's cut the
Yeah,
preamble. Let's
right.
just get to it.
I shouldn't make assumptions because
Let's just
but
get to the point.
yeah, a couple years ago, there was a game that came out called Hogwarts Legacy, and there were a couple content creators that were bullied to the point of people were demanding them to take their own life. Some VTubers, by the way.
I'm aware. I know what you're talking about.
Right. So
I've discussed
yeah,
this before.
they got more vitriolic hatred than I think I've ever seen. I can't recall a time where I've ever seen where people were so mad that these people were wanting to play this video game that they created an app to actually track when they went online so that they could go harass them. My point is, Leslie Jones didn't get anywhere near
I would vastly disagree with that.
anywhere near the
I
level of vitriol publicly.
I would
She got made fun of for the things that
vastly
she
disagree with
said.
that statement. I think I
But-
would vastly disagree. They were
Really? You would?
websites fancying about violence against her. There was a ton of stuff, and it was prolonged. The Hogwarts Legacy stuff really lasted for about 2 weeks. This lasted for several months.
It lasted a little bit longer than that, but that's immaterial. There were not campaigns. Like, people made fun of, okay, so with Leslie Jones, I do remember that. People were very mean, but there weren't death threats.
They were death threats.
No,
they were also
I mean,
rape threats
there
and
may
death
have been
threats.
some death threats, but they
were
weren't
hundreds
they
of
weren't
death
noticeable.
threats.
They weren't mainstream.
A day.
No, the number one thing with her was people. I think Milo Yiannopoulos did this. They were just very mean.
Dude, I'm going to cut you off right now. You're wrong. They were hundreds of death threats against Leslie Jones leading up to the
Hundreds out of millions of people.
Hundreds per week.
I would agree with you. There probably were hundreds.
By comparison, mind you,
But-
I'm not saying that what happened to those VTubers was justified. It was not. People should
No.
calm down a lot. I've said this multiple times. But the problem is you're comparing
But-
something that's comparatively vastly smaller and vastly more brief to a hate campaign. And I'm sure you'll say that the VTubers' reactions to a lot of negativity sent to their way was justified, but Leslie Jones' reaction to the heaps of negativity sent her way was not. So the problem is a disconnect here. Getting much more hate over a long period of time that reaction's unjustified and it's nasty, but the reaction that they had was fine. You have to pick a lane. I'm consistent with this. I think mass harassment campaigns are wrong, period. Without exception. Pushback is one thing. Mass harassment's not okay.
Yeah,
But I don't
think
justify one
Hollywood
over the other because
celebrities-
it's convenient to my
Yeah,
story.
it's just a difference of opinion. I don't have any sympathy for these Hollywood celebrities. they're millionaire elitists with most of them have a terrible attitude. So I just personally don't I don't have sympathy for these people, but
Right.
you
Okay.
do, and that's
The
perfectly
problem
fine.
is the problem is I'm seeing a disconnect here. We have a matter where these two situations have the same equivalent kind of stuff happening, right? Different
No,
extents.
not even close.
Vast. You're right. The Ghostbusters was worse. You're right. They're
No,
not
not
equivalent.
even,
The example that you're
okay.
defending
Well, I
is
mean,
much
it's fine
worse.
you think that, but that's just not the case. Like, if you ever go back and watch those videos of Silverbill, they doxed her family. They
They also
like
doxed
no,
Leslie
it was
Jones's family. It's the same thing. They
no, they
use the
did
same
not.
methods every
No,
single time. This one was a lot
nobody gave
larger
a
and
shit that
longer.
much about her. No, no, no. I think you're. If you have more stuff on that, send it to me because I
All right.
remember that very specifically. No, the most egregious thing at the time was Milo Yiannopoulos calling her an ape.
That
Like
was
he wrote an
that was
article,
just
a
the one you
review.
heard about.
Yeah,
That's
because
just one
well,
loud
I'm not
example, but
talking
there's
about
so many
I'm not
others.
talking about every small instance of some nobody loser doing something. I'm talking about mainstream stuff. Stuff that made it into the mainstream.
Yes, and the fact of the matter is, if harassment got into the mainstream
It
news on
uh,
ABC and the mainstream media, that means that whatever was not making the mainstream media
okay. Well,
was
we're not going
also
to agree on that
even
because
worse.
I don't agree with your definition of harassment. I think that's a gross over exaggeration. I think the Vitor one is worse. But I do have a question for you.
All right.
Um, it's completely unrelated. We'll just move topics.
Okay.
Um, um, in your video that I watched, when does a YouTube critic become a
Oh,
grifter?
yes, yes, this one.
That was
Okay.
the name of
Yes, that's the one.
your video.
Hmm.
Um, there was a quote that you said. You said it says I wrote here designed to push an agenda to sell you on an idea. That's what
Yes.
you said.
Yes.
And I made a notation here, and I wanted to know what you said. I said, have you considered that people are, instead of pushing an agenda to sell them an idea, that they may actually believe it? Or if they don't, they are reflecting what the audience wants or believes, and or believes. The assumption here,
Hmm.
while not always incorrect, fundamentally misunderstands that people genuinely believe some of, if not all, of the things in these streams that people say on social media.
Did you finish the video?
I didn't. No, it's
Okay,
way too
because
long.
that's addressed in the video.
I
That's
got
addressed in the
through.
video. Yes, I do believe that there are some people who buy into the ideas that they're espousing. The big point of note here was that the examples of grifters are people who sell the idea as a product. Whether or not that's now, we all online want everyone who makes content to some extent does it with the mind of business. Whether it's to have someone, whether it's the ego of having people listen to you or profit, that's not the factor. The factor is the consistency and variety of what you put out, as well as the focus of what you're producing. So, for example, in the video itself, I use the examples of, say, Lily Orchard, Jester Bell, and Ranting for Vengeance as people whose beliefs I find abhorrent, whose insistence on producing them is a message they're trying to communicate, who I don't think of as grifters. Because I don't believe they're trying to sell you on an idea that's artificial. I think they've bought into their own bullshit. There's a lot of people out there who I think make content of a certain political agenda I disagree with, who I do not believe actually.
So you think grifters are
I think
you
they're full
don't
of
think
shit. Yeah,
grifting is
to an
about
extent.
a monetary thing, but it's about trying to misrepresent a worldview?
No, that's not what I just said. I said that it is a monetary thing, but it's specifically what you're selling, an idea, a worldview, or a product based on
Trying to
something you're,
sell.
yeah, based on something you don't really believe. You're just kind of presenting it as something that is, and it's not the only, you can always have you can always be aligned with those beliefs outside of what you're doing. But like, does Geeks and Gamers need to make 1,500 videos about Brie Larson? At a certain point, you're selling an idea. Does, with, for example, Eric July. Now he finishes his videos try to sell Kickstarters for his comics, and the Kickstarter is always associated with an idea presented in the video. He's trying to sell
Okay.
you on his comic. That's an example of what I'm referring to. There is a monetary incentive outside of just simply making the video and getting ad revenue to the grifter mindset. And there are people who align themselves with those who are grifters, I think, who are not grifters. For example, Mauler, I said specifically, is not a grifter. I think he believes what he says, but he also works a lot with grifters, who I think are grifters. But he himself is not a grifter. I think he genuinely believes what he says. I think his content is boring and repetitive and dull, but I think that he believes what he's doing. I think he believes in his message he's trying to communicate.
Sure.
There's a big difference between necessarily someone who a grifter.
So not everyone in the content creator space is a grifter.
Very far from it. I think it's a very specific people.
Would you say that I'm a grifter?
No, I would not say that. No, okay. I think you believe everything you say. I think what you believe is abhorrent, but I think you believe it, and that's something I will say. And that's why I'm actually holding this discussion with you. I wouldn't be discussing this with a grifter because I think to be full of shit the whole time. I think you believe what you're saying. I think what you're saying is terrible, but I think you believe it.
Well, that's fair. I think what you're saying is terrible too.
Exactly.
So we agree on that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, gay furry stuff is normal. That's perfectly fine. So yeah, we have vehemently we have come to the point where we do agree on our disagreement.
That's very true.
But yeah, I do think there are a lot of people that could be classified as grifters. I do think it's overused.
That's why I made the video. I thought it was overused as well.
I do think it's overused a lot. I hear that a lot. It's a joke on my channel. We call it a gwifta with a W, which I put in the video, and you didn't understand the joke, which I don't blame you.
I figured it out.
Yeah,
I just didn't care.
I'll explain to it. Yeah. The gwifta, it wasn't me mispronouncing the word grifter. It's because there have been people that have criticized my video that.
No, I figured the joke, but usually for me to laugh at a joke, it has to be funny.
No, I would not expect you to find it funny because. Oh, by the way, one other question: why is there a furry in your intro? Are you a furry?
That's funny. No, so that's actually funny. I'm not a furry. No. Okay. A fan drew that.
I just want to be clear because somebody pointed it out, and they're like, "What?"
A fan drew that, and I put it in. Basically, the opening is just art. I find other people who draw stuff of me.
All right. I'm
not a furry, and my persona would not be a wolf if I was. So there we go.
Somebody from you said it's an interesting Templar uses. What is that?
Yes, the Wave. Wave is a very prolific figure in
Silver as a defense when he established. He views her as a degenerate. She's it's true. No, she is absolutely. But it doesn't mean that she deserves to be doxxed or go through any of what she went through. I have fundamental disagreements with her. I think that what girls like her do is harmful with their fansly and stuff. I've talked about that. The fake girlfriend experience. I think that's very sad, and I don't encourage that. I don't like that, but it doesn't mean that I would ever want anything to happen to somebody like that. What they went through when they come on stream crying because people are trying to ruin their life over a video game. But no, I talk about that. It's completely those two things are not mutually exclusive. It's.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Anyway.
No, so I'm gonna let some supers play real quick. While we have a little pause in the conversation. Hopefully something else comes up as well as we good. Let's take a listen.
Sure.
At Proletarian Pride super chatted $5. I'm paying another $5 to beg you to debating fascists who only want to waste your time and never let them defend their beliefs.
Okay, let's see what else comes up. Take a look at these chats.
At Stingertopia3169 super chatted $10. Question directed at Templar.
Here we go, for you.
Why do you think that somebody's sexuality or gender expression matters for their other unrelated opinions? And why does yours not matter in the same conversations?
I'll give you a chance to answer that one.
I'll have to go through.
Oh yeah, I'll read it again for you real quick. So, question directed at Templar: why do you think that somebody's sexual or gender expression matters for their other unrelated opinions? And why does yours not matter in the same conversation? So, for example, why does it matter? I'm trying to think of an example of a creator who's very famously gay or something like that. Here's an example. Why do you think it matters that, say, I'm trying to blank on another one that'd be useful. Here's an example. So, if a film director's gay, why does that matter at all if it doesn't have any reflection on the work they're producing?
Well, it can affect it can affect their work and their perspective and the outcome of the material. It can affect the message of the show. Now, is it possible that somebody who's gay or lesbian can put that aside and just do straight work? Absolutely, straight work. You just do a straight job down the middle. No pun intended. Yeah, absolutely, it's possible. But humans are pattern recognition machines, and we notice a certain trend, and certain people notice these trends and say, you know what, I don't like that this tends to happen more often than this. So they're criticizing it.
By that same metric, then, what about the inverse of that?
What would be the inverse of that?
Well, I'm asking, why would the inverse not matter? If it's, let's say a straight director making a movie that's gay. So, for example,
oh, that's easy because straight is normal.
Of course, that was your answer. All right, let's keep going with super chats.
At Charlie Price 8372 super chatted $5. Resorting to ableism like the R slur T discredit me. What an intellectual big game. You feel powerful saying garbage Templar lol. It is pathetic.
We got another one coming from Charlie right up now.
At Charlie Price 8372 super chatted $10. Your inability to answer basic questions, constant interruption, appeals to popularity fallacy, circular reasoning, demonstrates an inability to be honest. Ant, you're a saint. Bless your patience.
Thank you.
At Lucky_Dagger super chatted $5. Hey Templar, do you practice debates against ChatGPT?
Do you use ChatGPT to help not help write your arguments, but help use as a base to argue against?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I wouldn't recommend it either because circular logic on ChatGPT is worse than I've seen in a while.
No, I don't need ChatGPT.
Okay.
At Stingertopia3169 super chatted $5. Genuinely can't listen to Templar
I do use
any longer.
ChatGPT to help with my artwork for my channel. We can talk about that.
We'll get to that next, I think. Once the chat's run.
I don't think your audience is going to like my view on AI.
I probably won't either.
Super chatted $5.
Probably not.
The reason why no one had an issue in the OG Ghostbusters is because the culture war wasn't a big thing yet, so there was no profit in being racist.
I would disagree. There's a big profitability in racism in the 80s. There's a lot of racism back then.
At Grandmaster Queen super chatted $4.99. As a black woman, seeing right-wing anime fans like him trying to keep black people from being into the medium is discouraging.
I can imagine.
Oh, gosh.
Baichi, all right, I've arrived. Thank you for being a member for 16 months. Your presence is always welcome, Baichi, as well as your moderation. I got some right here. Oh, it was a lot. We skipped a couple.
At Charlie Price 8372 super chatted $2. The fascist admits he has no moral compass.
There we go.
At Jules 7403 super chatted $5. This guy stinks. I gotta get some clean Freya air ASAP anyways.
That's critic reference there.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Gabagool saluting face.
The Gabagool. Get some Gabagool. I'll get some actually after this.
At Simon Robineau super chatted $5. If he has no sympathy for millionaires getting harassed, then surely he has no sympathy when Asmongold faces pushback for his awful takes.
I'm sure, because Asmongold's a celebrity too. That's fair.
At the Waverunner super chatted $5. Interesting Templar uses Silvervale as a defense when he established he would view her as a degenerate.
If you asked a regular person in your life if they know who Asmongold is, do you think they'd know?
Well, here's a question.
Not on the internet.
Here's a question. Is that qualifier?
Super chatted $1.
A celebrity is someone who's just well known. If I asked my grandmother who Markiplier was, she would look at me as though I'm crazy. If I ask a 20-year-old who Markiplier is, they'll know in a second. Celebrity is relative.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe that is the difference. Is if somebody
at Ghost Gamer Gaming
because everyone
$5
people know who Sylvester Stallone is.
If you don't
as a
like
celebrity.
What Silvervale represented,
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know. Maybe the definition of celebrity
you only
just
left
has
cause
changed.
You got kicked for being a goob.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm sorry, I just read the super chat there. Yeah, that's fair. No, I mean celebrity's relative. I think celebrity's relative. Anyway, let's keep some. Let me just run these super chats until they're done.
Oh, that's interesting. This Templar dude's a LARPer.
At Scorpion104 super chatted $5.
A
I
LARPer.
respect you, Templar, for
that's
wanting to
great.
debate Ant. But do try to let him talk and save your point for when he's done. Write it down at least, then talk.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a good way to hold on to your thought without losing it.
At Yamate Rambles super chatted $2. I gotta leave for work, but have some money less than free.
Thank you. And I think I'll pause after this one. Do we move on to the AI discussion?
At Demi Supremi super chatted $2. Why is there gay P or NFT Templar IRL online?
Why is they keep pulling up Templar online? That's a good question. I can't answer that one for you. I would never go looking for it, so I have no idea. Anyway, let's talk about AI, because that's the big other topic too. Beyond culture war discussions, I think your use of AI is a big point of contention with audiences.
Mm-hmm.
So,
especially with the furry community, they really don't like it.
I think any artistic community who values human talent would dislike the use of AI. Yeah. And furries, of course, hey, listen, you can say what you want about furries, but you can't argue that they have a lot of good artists. A lot of talented artists who spend a lot of years training. So the idea of a machine that steals their hard work and then makes something that's subpar as a result, and they claim it's just as good, that can be frustrating. So what is your perspective of AI? I'll let you talk before I offer my rebuttal, but I'll give you the mic for now.
I think AI is an amazing tool, and I think that it helps people, and I think it will continue to help people. There are pros and cons, like any form of art. Oh.
What's up?
What happened to your stream?
Maybe stream's on. There's nothing happened.
That's weird.
That's weird. Did you think crashed out there?
No, just error 404.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Stream's okay. Everything's looking good on my end.
Yeah. Everything looks good. It just refreshed. Yeah. My take on AI art is that I think AI art is a tool, and I think it's a helpful one. I think that, like anything, there are pros and cons. A lot of people had issues with Photoshop. They said, "Oh, Photoshop is going to ruin art." But my take on AI art is that it gives the poorest people in our civilization tools to create where they otherwise may not have the money to hire an artist. Like for me on my channel, I use AI art. I don't have to go to an artist. I don't have to pull from anything. I just type a detailed thing into ChatGPT, and then it creates an image, and then I can edit it either in Photoshop and re-input it, and I get to do all the work, and it doesn't cost me anything. That is a huge advantage to a small content creator or somebody else. And I would just posit this. Imagine somebody like J.K. Rowling, who, by the way, is one of the richest women in the world now, but she came from abject poverty. She was writing Harry Potter. You don't think that she would have appreciated the ability to input some of her ideas as an artist into a machine to create concept art that she could have then used to sell her idea? I mean, I think that a lot of people look at it in this very limited way, but AI is a tool that can help people who don't have the artistic talent and don't have the money to create something. And I think that there is a lot of good in it. I do think that there is a lot of evil in it as well. People that can use deepfakes and stuff. I'm not a fan of that. Especially, I agree with the laws against deepfake porn. I think that's atrocious that you would do that to somebody, because at a certain point it's going to get indistinguishable from real, and so that's going to have to come with some stiff penalties. But for the most part, like what I do with my character background and stuff like that, I think it's great. I think that it's helped me. I think it's helped other people too, and it's also created some very funny memes.
Okay. Question: are you familiar with the movie Flow?
Yeah.
Yeah, Best Picture winner, Best Anime Picture.
No, I thought you meant the program Flow.
No, the movie Flow, the one that won the Academy Awards this past year for Best Animated Feature.
Google has a thing called Flow.
Very excellent movie. It was made in Blender, which is free.
No,
it was made in free
great
animation software. So
that's great.
You ever hear of GIMP?
No.
The software GIMP. It's a free Photoshop tool that I had. I mean, I had it back when I was in high school. Even
Sure.
I didn't do anything good with it because I sucked at drawing. But the tool's available. If I had practiced a little more, could have gotten better. Also, J.K. Rowling didn't do the concept art for Harry Potter. That was Scholastic, the publisher, who hired artists who knew what they were doing. That was regardless of she had no involvement in that. She had no hand in the concept arts. So
what I was talking about there is as a poor creator, when you're writing something,
okay,
before like you're not a big name, right? You're not a big name. You don't really have insider connections. You having the ability to create the concept art to present to them, it may give you a better chance of getting your idea past the initial scrutiny. And what I'm saying is not that she had a hand in it.
Templar, do you know anyone who's been traditionally published by a publishing house?
Anyone who's been traditionally published?
Yes, through a publishing house, like Scholastic.
No.
Because I do. Concept art has no actual impact on getting a book published in any publishing house. The process is you send in a query letter usually with the first 15 to 20 pages of your work, sometimes 5, sometimes not even that. And if an agency, a literary agency, accepts your manuscript, they themselves can then send it to the publishing house and they may accept it. Only once it's accepted by the publishing house do they even consider doing concept art for anything. So what you're describing would never be touched upon by the author. It's all entirely from the publishing side of things.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you're a content creator and you put your work forward, and you get rejected.
That's also
you get rejected by a publishing house. It happens all the time.
All the time.
So now
100%.
that person that has no money doesn't have the money to get, hire an artist to do concept work. Can go to AI and be like, look, well, maybe I can get some donators. I can get some people. But I'm gonna put this in there based on my recommendations and parameters. I'm gonna make concept art so that I can broadcast this to the world and show them my concept,
right?
And get some money there.
Are you familiar with the author Ryokishi 07?
Ryokishi 07?
Yes, Ryokishi 07.
No.
Japanese writer from years and years ago had an idea for a story, couldn't get anyone to publish it. So what he did was something very creative. He drew his own art. He had no talent in art. Those art's very sloppy and very bad looking. And he put the writing not in a book, but in a digital file. He distributed it himself. This became the story known as Higurashi no Nakokoro ni, which is one of the most successful visual novels in the history of Japan. It was adapted multiple times, including in animation, to a very successful anime project. And Ryokishi 07 was then commissioned to do this, to manage a little game called Silent Hill F, after decades of proving himself as one of the best horror writers in Japan. He did this without any actual formal publication behind his work. All the work he did himself, and he worked his nonstop to do all of it. There is, in my opinion, if you're going to experience if you're going to make art of any kind, whether it's art, whether it's animation, whether it's, regardless of whether you're poor or not, there are resources available to allow you to create that art. That is the great thing about free software. And I will never advocate for anyone that they have to pay for programs that are readily available for free right now. The barrier for entry is only the skill you have. And quite frankly, if you don't have the skill to make the art, you won't understand what makes that art compelling. You may think, oh, this looks cool, but do you understand composition, lighting, motion? Or do you understand the human anatomy all that properly? Because all those things can be alienating to an audience and thus turn them off of what you produce. So in my opinion, AI art isn't just simply dividing the barrier of entry. And it also can cause a massive amount of misinformation to be spread, like you described before, which I'm sure you both also agree. Spreading misinformation with AI is unethical. It's just not what someone should do. It's also a little bit of a crutch, I think, for some artists who could be great if they had the determination to improve, because no one is good when they start. They are only good through hard work. And even with Ryokishi, his artwork was terrible early on with Higurashi, but he did it over and over again, more and more and more. And as he goes on, it gets better and better and better. But that's a product of determination and raw, repetitious action. Doing the same basic thing 1,000 times until the 1,001th time it starts to look like something decent. I don't think that. I think that AI is actively going to make artists worse if they over rely on it because they will never get better at it. And eventually, the AI is going to source from other crappy pieces of AI artwork. And so eventually, what's going to happen, and it's already begun to happen with AI models, is degeneration. And other artists are actively poisoning AI with some cleverly programmed little things. So the problem is you're relying on a tool that will not actually get better over time, but actually get progressively worse. You are using the best AI tools that will ever be right now, because eventually it's going to poison itself with like a 10th generation VHS tape, diminishing returns as it assimilates its own fecal matter.
So, do you see any positive in AI?
I see
Like
positives in
any?
AI. I do not see positives with large language models. Large language models, I think, are pretty defunct. They're actually great at spreading misinformation. We can always see AI psychosis spreading around, where people get religious fever thinking that the AI is telling them something factual when all it's doing is shooting back what they want to see back at them. Yeah. There's people who enjoy an occasional chat bot or two. I think that's not great, but it's not the end of the world. But I think that genuinely it's a net negative to society. I think AI that could be used to detect cancer, that could be used to program machines, that's useful. That's actually good AI. But the problem is we're putting all the money in large language models that actually don't get jobs done, that don't benefit businesses, that make artists worse at their job, and are frankly expensive. Because even though you said they're free, Coca-Cola recently revealed that the amount of money they spent with their AI-generated Christmas commercial was actually more than what it would have been if they just hired human beings to do it. So
I don't care I don't care what corporations are paying. Corporations can eat it. I'm talking about individual people. Like I'm talking about the poorest of people. People,
and Blender is
like
free.
they can go to ChatGPT and they can use it for free. I understand that there are corporations that pay a bunch of money. I don't care about them particularly. I'm talking about the poorest people.
The poorest people
Giving
have
them
free access
tools.
to systems. There has never been a better
Yeah,
time to be an artist, even if you're poor. The
right.
best, the movie that won Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards this year was made with free software and a couple of guys come together. It wasn't a massive production like a Pixar film. It was made with free software.
Good.
So
Yeah.
it's
No, it's
all
great.
available.
Yeah.
There's no justification for an artist to produce something with AI when they can just learn how to make it themselves. And it'll
Well,
be better when they
some
make it
people don't
themselves.
have that artistic talent.
It's not about
They
talent.
just
It's not about
they
talent.
don't.
No one has talent when they start. Everyone sucks when they start. Everyone's
Yeah.
terrible at art when they start. But you just do it enough times and you get better at it because you learn how to do it right. You don't even need a formal education.
I actually think your best argument would be the manga Demon Slayer. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've read Demon Slayer, yes. I'm very familiar with Demon Slayer.
The artwork in that is horrible, uh, but
I
that
wouldn't say the
actually
artwork
makes
in
you
that horrible. I'd say it's decent.
it's
If you want to talk about
it's
horrible artwork, talk about One Punch Man. It's a better example of that.
yeah, well,
The
yeah,
original version, not the remade version. I'm talking the
yeah,
OG
yeah, yeah.
one.
No,
And a great
I
example
know.
right there of an artist who has no talent but was successful anyway. Not no talent. He
Yeah,
had a lot of
no,
talent for writing
no.
a story, but and he got better. He got better as time went on.
Yeah, no, that is true. However, I think that there are certain situations where people they they may need the tool at the time. You can never really say, people that are extremely low income to, have that extra boost to write it, not write it for them, but they can have something to help uh, make something more solid. And I'm all in favor of that. And like my channel, for example, I never would have been able to afford
Hmm.
to go out and hire artists for everything that I need for my channel. If I wanted to do something for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So, a barrier to entry would be that.
Well, what art
So
would you need to actually make for Christmas or Thanksgiving? Because when I first started, for me, I didn't
like the
hire an
character
artist.
that I'm using
I
on
didn't
my
hire an
screen.
artist. I didn't hire an artist until I guess my first one would be the like August when I first started. It's about it was into my second. No, it would have been about 8 months into my YouTube career. I didn't do anything like that. And that's an example. Everything else was done out by hand. I do all the editing myself. Well, until recently, I've hired an editor now because I have a son, so I have to make sure that I'm there for him.
Good.
Yeah, but that's I have a couple people I've worked with who are editors, and they were able to help take the load off. I would do everything myself, but it was
I don't
getting
have an editor.
that's fair.
I do everything myself.
That's fair, and I pay my editors based on the profit of the video. I pay them a flat rate, but the flat rate's determined based on how profitable my videos are typically, and their needs. So it's a mix of everything. If the video is successful, they're successful. And my artists pay them a flat rate based again on what I think I can afford them based on the success of a video. And again, it's always the asking rate because my videos do pretty decently, which is good.
How much does an editor charge per video?
Depends on the length. I know I won't speak out. I won't talk about money and what I charge to pay them right now publicly because my editors watch this. And I think that's unfair to reveal any private information. That
I don't need to know what you pay your editor. I'm talking about in generalities for videos.
Oh, for a video that I'll give a general range of editing.
Say the video is like 15 to 20 minutes.
That could be.
I know your videos are like 10 times longer than that.
Yeah, it can be a little longer than that. Yeah,
feel that way.
I'd say
But,
you reasonably speaking could be anywhere from $100 to $700 roughly in terms of from depending on how detailed it is, how much how professional they are, what experiences they have. Don't forget, you're also talking about their history. So an editor who's just getting started will probably charge less than an editor who's say worked with a big YouTuber. Like if you're asking for Markiplier's editors,
I could never do that.
My other guys will.
I could never do that. That's just I can never.
That's fair. It's not. Well, that's why I edit. Listen, I was editing every video week by week until I was until like my audience was built enough to do that. And again, I never asked for help that I couldn't do myself.
Yeah.
I never will make someone do something I myself couldn't also do. But
I do everything on my own.
But their skills and talent is something I don't have. But
I do everything on my own. AI is a very helpful tool to help me do things more effectively and apparently very cost effectively.
Well,
I'm actually
what do you use AI for exactly? In your production? In your production, what do you use AI for?
Okay, so what I use AI for is when I do streams and stuff, or even when I do videos, I have a background that I usually what I'll do is I'll put an input of something that I want. So I'll put a prompt based on text of what I want, and then it'll generate an image. And then I'll take that image and then I'll put it into Flow or, whatever the program is. And then I will have the background image animated. And so that it'll look like some element is like an animated background image, kind of like the one that you're on your screen, like the one that's
this
like,
this is a wallpaper from Wallpaper Engine, right? That's like free.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's an artist made this using very basic rendering topics. It's all just the same shape. It's very basic. It's not AI generated. It's just perfectly lined up pieces of
so
buildings that slide on different scales.
I basically just use that to create an animated image, and then I use it for the character, the avatar.
Couldn't you just use like a royalty-free piece of animation for that instead? There's a lot of your backgrounds aren't necessarily like these elaborate, complicated things. There's probably a free version of what you're looking for where you can credit the artist.
Probably.
And that's probably more effective. And you'd be contributing to getting attention to that artist, whatever the artist may be.
Probably, but I've not really come across any software program.
It's not software; it's just royalty free. You can get it on YouTube. Just download a loop. There's thousands of them. There's tons of free royalty free stuff you can access. Yeah, granted, some of the stuff you have to pay for the more specific stuff, but you can find free versions of that. You don't need AI for that. So what else do you use AI for? That right there you can get for free without needing to even put input in.
The avatar, costumes, background. That's pretty much it.
Okay, well there's free. We already mentioned Blender. That's a free modeling animation program right there. But even if you don't use that, you can easily get like a Templar outfit. Those exist. There's models of that you can find pretty easily. A tabletop sim. You ever use that? They have mods for that you can probably use for a video. You can have like a loop of it. You can have like a green screen background plugged it in. There you go.
But
That's free.
here's the problem. I could do that.
Yeah, pretty easily. What do you
I
think?
don't
It
have
would
the
take,
time.
it would take a half hour.
I don't have the time or motivation to do that.
It takes less
Usually,
effort to do this than to type in prompts. You're actually spending more work typing the prompt into AI than you would be
I don't see
free
how
stuff.
that's possible.
It's very simple.
I don't
You
see how
go
that's
online,
possible.
you go to YouTube, you type in backgrounds.
I can type my thing into to generate the image. I can type the thing. It's not usually very long. It's a couple sentences, and the AI can pick it up almost instantly. Then putting it into the thing, it generates like four different variants of what I want. Like it's all very, very timely, very effective, very efficient. So for me, learning a whole new program for this one thing, yeah, okay. I mean, it could be just as effective, but for me, this works. Now, in the future, that could be something that I do change, but at the end of the day, in the meantime, it is more effective, it is more cost effective, and more efficient. So I'm not going to do that. And by the way, I'm a small content creator. There are a lot of other small content creators.
Okay.
They're going to be needing that as well.
I just found
mean,
this in 5 seconds. This
Found what?
is a loop on my screen right here. It's a loop. Basic loop right here. It's a real photo, royalty free, Catholic ambiance. Yeah, it even has music attached to it. Just this. Here you go. You have a little ambient music in the background, totally free. There you go. See? There you go. 5 seconds. Download that. 12 hours. You're good. You don't need to have any AI for that, and you credit an artist for it.
What is that?
It's just 5 seconds of Googling, of YouTubing. It was like the fifth result. Here you go.
But
And it looks really nice. It's not AI. It's just a video feed or a recording, it looks like. And it even has ambient music in the background. Posted 4 years ago. So before ChatGPT. So, well, before it became readily available anyway. So that's like 5 seconds of work. Just download that. There you go. Reuse it constantly. You're good.
yeah,
You need AI for that.
Yeah. That's kind of dark and dreary.
Yeah, and then brighten it up. Find another one. There's thousands of
I
results.
don't-
Just find another one.
No. What you're saying is true. However, with AI generated stuff, it's stuff I can control. So while it is too dark, but it's something I can control. I have more freedom to create with that. Yeah, I could find probably if
very
I
easily. You know what you do? You scroll a little bit, find one you like, and there you go. AI generation, like, yeah, you can brighten it and do with that, but ultimately speaking, you're still asking someone else to produce your work for you. One's just a little, because you're not making it yourself. A machine's making it, or an artist is making it. It's the same result either way, but at least with the artist, you can promote a talent behind it. Put them in the credits. There you go.
Yeah.
You're good.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you found something that works for you. I'm not going to do that. I think AI is way more effective. Like, yeah, it just works. it just works.
Oh, okay. Well, this works. This works too, just as well.
I,
And it's worked
I
for
would be
years
I'd be
already.
willing to look into it, but I don't think I don't think that's some sort of better tool or
You don't
option.
think that someone
especially
who knows how to craft an image with lighting and proper balance and even ambient sound is better than a machine that will pump something out that you really can't control, but just produces something until you like it enough?
yeah, because I don't need anything that complicated. I just need
You don't
something.
need something as complicated as typing a search result into YouTube.
I need something to create an aesthetic for my own individual channel. Like for example, I'm sure I could find one of those for Christmas or Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
but not
easily.
the same one, not with the same aesthetic.
No, but
It just
could you find it even with AI? AI can generate the same thing 15 times and result in something that's similar-ish. But hey, at the end of the day, you
I
gotta do
did-
what you
I
gotta
did
do.
it.
But I think
Yeah.
that you are making excuses for something that's very easy to do outside without an AI. Your financial status is no excuse when there is totally free means to get exactly what you want without learning
No.
a skill.
I'm quite pleased with what AI is doing.
That's your
I
choice then.
understand that some people may have a difference of opinion on that, but honestly, I don't give a shit
All right, that's your
because
choice.
it's going to be here. It is helping people, and it seems like the only people that are really against AI, if I can be honest, the only people that really seem to be vehemently against it are people that want to continue to create this elitist barrier to entry. They want to create this perception that I'm better because I'm an artist. And
What people whose
honestly,
electric bills have
I'm
gone up $100 a month because the farms of AI
yeah,
farms are rising the prices up. I think they have
yeah,
a reason to be
no,
pissed
no,
off
it's
too.
not. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
I
so
definitely,
your free work is
I
resulting in
definitely am a
taking.
fan of
Yeah,
Trump doing something to lower
it's not a
costs on
matter of
that
Trump.
stuff.
It's a matter of energy. It's a
Regulation.
matter of the
Yeah,
function of the AI farms. You need to
yeah,
that has to be
we should
charged with
lower
something.
energy costs.
Yeah, well, you can't.
Yeah, those
It
AI
requires
farms should
massive.
have to pay more money. Yeah,
They
it's
they
true.
expect that 20% of the energy generated in Europe
They
will go
should,
to
yeah, those
AI
AI firms
farms.
should have to pay more money to their communities for the to offset the cost of that.
Yeah,
No,
but they won't.
absolutely.
But they won't though, because
Yeah, they
it doesn't
should.
matter if they pay more. It still raises the price for everyone else around it, even if they're paying more.
Yeah, we should lower the cost of it. Drill, baby, drill. You're right.
That's not actually going to actually make it cheaper. You know that, right? Because that energy actually doesn't actually help. It's mostly the other sources.
Yeah, right.
You need to make a new form of nuclear energy to offset the costs of AI.
Yeah, no, that's true. I am in favor of nuclear power plants. Power
Yeah, that's
plants.
not going to be enough. You need a new form of nuclear fusion that doesn't exist currently, that isn't even theoretically possible to offset the
Well,
costs of AI farms. This is what the
yeah,
every energy expert says. This is not like my opinion. This is a pretty confirmed detail. You need a massive amount of power to offset the costs. And even then, that still
I
won't
do
make the
find this
price of the average person go
conversation
down.
to be interesting because the thing that was hilarious is a couple of years ago, you had a lot of people that were really pushing electric cars, really push, like really pushing electric cars, and yeah, didn't give a shit about what it would do to the power grid. But now all of a sudden it's AI. Now it's affecting the arts and
That's because it wouldn't actually offset the power grid all that much. It takes very compare. This dude. This is
yeah,
like
you've obviously. Do you live in California? Have you seen those brownouts? Oh my God,
I live in an
they're
area that
crazy.
has brownouts regularly. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
comparison of what you're referring to is like comparing the ripple of a pebble hitting the ocean versus a mile long meteor. There
mm.
is no comparison between what you're describing and the impact that AI farms
So
have on the power
what would your
grid.
solution be? To tear down these AI facilities?
Yes,
No,
actually.
you know
Yeah.
that China and India and other countries are going to continue to build AI
Yeah,
plants, right?
those should be torn down too. So
Oh,
across the
you
board,
know
I
they're
think.
not going to do that, right?
Doesn't matter if they want to do it. You asked me what my best case scenario would be. Practically, I know they're not going to do that. But
No, I didn't ask what your best case scenario would be. I'm going to say that if you tear down the ones in the United States, China and India and other countries are going to make it, and we are going to be unprepared for
China and
for what
India have
comes
actually
next.
developed alternatives to the large language models that are actually smaller language models that require a lot less energy and do not require all the computer chips that NVIDIA is sending out. They're much
Right.
less
So,
advanced, but they're also more specific and more effective at their particular means. These
right.
large language models are useless. Small language models, however, are far more useful. They're
Hmm.
also less widely applicable to what you're talking about.
Well,
Also, Texas and California, they got brownouts because of the AI farms, not because of the cars.
well, the electric cars. No,
No,
way
no, no.
before
It's
AI.
the AI farms and
I
it's the data mines. That's what caused it. That's what the
way
Silicon Valley stuff.
before
It's
AI.
from the
Way
farms.
before AI.
Yes, because
Um,
Silicon Valley was going on in that area. It affects the power grid there. Look at Boise, Idaho, where all the different all the different Silicon Valley guys moved over to. They're getting brownouts too. The moment they built computing centers for their functionality,
yeah. Well,
it's entirely
um,
because of the tech industry. It's entirely Silicon Valley.
it's going to happen. So I guess the only thing that you could really talk about is how you mitigate some of the problems that are going to come as a result of
By
it,
shifting to a
because
small language
they're
models
not going to tear
because
it down.
large language models aren't effective. They're losing billions of dollars. Investors are scared of it, and Nvidia stock. Thiel sold all of his Nvidia stock, and that's one of the big pushers for the large language AI models. A lot of companies are reporting zero gains, in fact, loss from using AI. OpenAI needs billions and billions of dollars of investments each week.
Do you think the price of RAM is going to skyrocket in the next couple months?
I think the price of computer chips is going to skyrocket in general because all the stuff we're using is being melted in favor of the altar of our AI gods. Yeah, the price of materials is going to go down because we're burning through the chips to fuel this shit.
Yeah,
RAM prices are already up. Hell, I just rebuilt a computer a few months ago. I rebuilt my computer. The price of all the chips I got with the same general power that I got about several years ago. The value of the chips hasn't gone up. It's virtually indistinguishable from what I got like 5-6 years ago. But the price was about $400 more for the same type of technology. $400 increase for marginal difference. And that's purely because they're being used for these stupid, useless farms that benefit no one but specific companies. And even then, the companies are losing billions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, I think that AI as a tool has been majorly effective for people that are lower income. You've seen it. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of shit. I've seen a lot of crap.
Memes are pretty on point.
Back in the day, we used to make memes for free. We used something called GIMP or Microsoft Paint, and they were funnier. Every AI meme now is dull looking. The colors are muted. It doesn't even look good anymore. They look lame. The only thing people talk about is it's AI. They won't even talk about the joke they show.
The meme of Hassan shocking his dog was particularly hilarious.
You think a video of a dog getting shocked is funny?
No.
You enjoy violence against animals?
No,
the fuck is wrong with you, man?
And by the way, most of your audience are sexually attracted to animals, but no, I'm not talking about.
I'm still not past the fuck
violence.
You find the memes of dogs getting hurt funny. Like that to me is the bigger red flag.
Hassan shocking his dog?
I don't like Hassan either. But that's not the point.
No, the meme. No, the meme is he shocks his dog. AI generated him with Raiden.
So what's funny about it?
What's funny about Hassan shocking his dog? Well, the funny thing is, what's funny about it?
It's funny about a dog getting shocked. What's funny about that?
Well, the fact that Hassan is such a terrible person.
What's funny about the dog
putting him in that position of him dressed as Raiden? That's pretty funny. You can't find
I'm still not past the dog getting shocked. That's the part that I'm
so
still
you're virtuous. I got it. You're virtue signaling. Well, no one wants any dog to be shocked, but Hassan claims he didn't shock his dog. That's for him and God to decide. I don't care. What's funny, that's another discussion. I'm talking about what you found funny about the meme about a dog getting shocked. It's just funny.
And is that really useful for
objectively
us?
Funny? Everyone finds it funny. It's hilarious.
It's funny that people's power bills are going up $100 a month to
the absurdity of it. You not understand absurd humor? Of course you do.
Oh, I love absurd humor. That's not the question. But I also check my electric bill every month.
Hassan dressed as Raiden from Mortal Kombat using an electric bolt on his dog is funny. Animal abuse isn't funny. Raiden from Mortal Kombat?
I was thinking you were saying Raiden from Metal Gear Solid for a second there. My brain, I'm still thinking
about Raiden from Mortal Kombat, the Thunder God.
I know who Raiden is. I played Mortal Kombat. I was actually, Mortal Kombat 2 was the first game I ever played as a kid. Well, actually, no, it was second. The first was actually Sonic the Hedgehog.
You had a good start. That was a great game.
I would do Sub-Zero personally. I was like the.
Did you ever unlock Reptile?
Oh, when I was a kid, no. When I was a kid, I wouldn't say I was good at the game. I said I played it. When I was a kid, I got better as I got older. When I was a kid, I would flail with buttons. Yeah, no. Anyway,
is there any other questions you had?
I think we're just going to run through super chats real quick, and I think then we'll just go through some final thoughts if that's all right with you.
Well, you can do super chats after. I mean,
there might be some directed towards you. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
that's the value of it. All right, let's take a listen.
At Maryland 614 super chatted $20.01. Why not hire an artist? For a person who talks big about poverty and elitism, why not give them money for their good work? Surely, you can show P around for PPL who'd be willing to make art for reasonable prices.
Fair, we've discussed that one a bit, so I won't require you to answer that one.
At the Waverner Super Chatted $2. The E33 Composer also came from SoundCloud.
Also true. Free software everywhere.
At Demi Supremi Super Chatted $2. So Templar. What's the Extensor Digitorum Brevis?
That's a good question. Welcome as a reader, Strange Trees. If you want to join my Discord, you can absolutely pay to get in. As a membership, I'll be posting a link for members only after this.
At Demi Supremi Super Chatted $2.
Yep.
Chad GPT is the reason you can't afford anything
That's very
TT.
true. That's the only reason why. It's terrible. Everything's going up in price.
At Wing of Shoe Super Chatted $2. Coke could have hired poor artists instead of AI.
That's also very true. They could have. Would have been a lot more efficient and money would be better spent.
At Lucky_Dagger Super Chatted $5. It's not the biggest problem I have with AI, but so much stuff that isn't AI gets labeled it for marketing purposes.
That's also true. A lot of things that are not large language models get called AI, and it's ridiculous, especially on YouTube.
At Maryland 614 Super Chatted $20.01. AI is useful for speeding up the process of planning D&D campaigns and making random NPCs.
I wouldn't want to play a AI
That's all I
D&D
got.
campaign.
Also, my dude, artists are the most underfunded PPL.
Yes.
Art programs are underfunded.
100%.
AI will make it way worse.
100% agree with that. 100% agree with that.
At Angels Art and Gaming Super Chatted $5. Magma is also a free browser art program. So if you need to draw, there's that. That's
Yeah.
what I use if you need.
100%. Free software everywhere. There's so much of it.
At Maryland 614 Super Chatted $5. Is it more cost-effective to just have AI generate athletes instead of paying to attend a sports game?
Yeah,
Lol.
good question. Would not be.
At Angels Art and Gaming Super Chatted $2. Texas gets brownouts because of AI. At Scruttle_Fish7333 Super Chatted $4.99. Wants to be a Black Templar, but loves abominable intelligence. At Angels Art and Gaming Super Chatted $5. I'm poor. I use Magma for art and memes. I use BandLab and LMMS for music. I use UKit for editing. I know a lot of ways to create for free.
Tons of programs available that are incredibly useful.
At Wing of Shoe Super Chatted $5. Actually, a real dog trainer showed the same looking collar has non-shock to variants, and the dog trainer himself said dogs can be big whining babies.
That's very true. There's a lot of contradictory evidence about that whole story.
At Maryland 614 Super Chatted $10. The means to bestow art upon the poor masses is for government to fund art programs, fund public libraries, and fund public education. Teach PPL that art is to be valued, not
Yep.
just commodified.
Art is a skill, not a commodity.
At Demi Supremi Super Chatted $5. Templar, did you know that you can do all that AI generation on your own PC with Comfy UI and Stable Diffusion XL or Quen? Just saying, Chad GPT sucks.
That's very true. Welcome Metal Link Guy as a member of the channel. I'll be posting the link after this stream. For members only. Yep, what we got here?
At Charlie Price 8372 Super Chatted $5. Criticizes corporations for making slop, yet he defends AI slop, the ultimate corporate slop. You just love capitalism when it suits you.
Does seem like an odd inconsistency.
At the British Runner Super Chatted $6.58. Templar, I've said it before and I'll say it again, you are a joke to us, never change dear locale.
And finally, I'll pause after this.
At Lupine Calibrator Super Chatted $5. The definition of sloth is a reluctance to put in effort. Are you promoting sloth by outsourcing your effort into AI instead of taking the effort?
It's a good question, actually, before we wrap up. Since you are, obviously very into religion, sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins. So would you say that AI promotes sloth, just as you argue degeneracy of my audience encourages other sins?
Does it inspire sloth?
Yes, yes. The refusal to do something for the benefit of others or yourself.
Does it
Over relying
does
on
it
AI rather
inspire
than learning,
sloth?
yeah. So instead of picking up a pencil, using AI system, does that inspire sloth? Because I'd say that,
I think
you,
I think that like anything that it can. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
of course, anything can, but do I think that inherently it does? No, because it's a tool like any other. If you use a tool in an effective way, I don't see why that would engender sloth.
I would disagree with that because the tool is doing all the work for you. A tool like, say, GIMP.
No, the tool's not doing all the work for you. In many ways, it's like Photoshop. It's like saying,
Oh, it's like
well,
Photoshop.
Photoshop doesn't work.
So then
Well,
you can control layers,
in a
you
way
can
that it's a
draw, you
creative
can.
tool, because oftentimes with AI, it doesn't just generate something immediately and then it's perfect. You have to change things, alter things, add in
See,
additional
I
prompts,
see.
make it the way that you want. So, in a way, I guess you could use it for sloth if you're lazy, but at the same time, it can be an effective and efficient tool that gives you the ability to create something faster so that you can get on to other
I
tasks.
see, I see. So let me
I
ask a
would I
question then.
would
If you
I
draw on
wouldn't
the
say
wrong
that's the
layer,
case.
do you have the same panic that a photo artist might have where they draw on the wrong layer of Photoshop and goes, oh, fuck, I screwed up, I have to go back and fix it, and know exactly what to do to fix it without messing
No,
anything
it's
else
got
up?
it's got its own set of problems and
Oh, I
learning
see. So,
curves, and
so you just generate a new
and
image,
there,
what you
by the
say.
way, there are people that are better at AI than others.
Oh, I see, I see.
It is a tool that you do have to learn and get better with as
I see.
well.
Is that because like the language you use to input for the machine to do the thing for you is
No, it's just
different?
learning all the different mechanics.
Oh, of course.
So, for example, there are content creators that have started making things with AI,
Oh, okay.
but doing so in a way that is incredibly creative. In fact,
Really?
Gucci Marks is a created AI generated music.
Oh, okay. So
Uh,
the machine does plays the music and makes the sounds and and draws from whatever database it has, and
I
the
don't know. I
person just types
honestly
in some
don't. I,
things. Is that
I
right?
honestly couldn't answer. I don't know how he does it.
That's fair. I
I
guess it
don't.
takes a lot more. I
But
guess it takes like 5 seconds more of typing than the other methods do. You're right.
the way that he, I don't know if you've seen the video I'm talking about Hassan shocking his dog, which
I'm not
it
really
was
familiar with. I don't really look up images of dogs getting shocked. Typically, that's not really something I
uh,
go out to see.
stop the virtue signaling. It's pathetic.
I'm not talking about virtue signaling.
It's not actually a dog getting shocked. By the way, we don't actually know if Hassan really shocked his dog. It's
Oh, I
more
know.
of a meme.
I know. In the super chats, they even pointed out.
Yeah, people don't really know that. I mean, it seems very likely, but yeah, apparently shock collars are considered animal abuse. I guess I don't know. But the point is, it's the guy was able to create something. I don't know how he did it. I certainly couldn't create that, even if I had all the same tools. I mean, it would take me a lot longer. There are other people like Dong P Bong Water. You're probably not a fan of his, but he creates AI generated stuff that I couldn't do, even if we have the same tools. So it isn't just as easy and
I'll be honest. I
simple.
have no idea who Bong P Water is. I've never heard of him before.
Dong P Dong P Bong Water. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I'm
Um,
familiar with the name.
he's a guy that creates AI generated movies. He created an AI generated movie with Asmongold, Tectone, Nuxtaku,
Oh, so
Donor
he made
Operator.
him with. So did they make it with them, or did the program make it for them?
I don't know. No, he input it into AI
Oh, so the program made it for them.
and it did
They,
something.
well, they type a few words in along the way.
I'm sure he did.
Okay, it
I
sounds like a
mean,
big
why are you
collaborative
being
effort.
so dismissive of people that learn this particular tool just because you don't like it? You think that they don't do any work?
No,
You don't
I
think
don't.
there's any barrier to entry, any learning?
No, I
That's just
don't think that's
ignorant.
the case. I
That's
think
just
that
purely ignorant.
when 30% of
I've,
Microsoft
I've
code
talked
is
to this
made by
guy
AI
before.
and it's
I've talked to this guy before. I know he's knowledgeable about all these
oh, I'm sure
different
he's
AI
knowledgeable about
programs.
the back end of it, but that's not skill. That's just
Yeah.
taking what other people have done
Well,
and assimilating it.
it's more of a skill than I have on that stuff. I don't know. I don't know half the stuff that he knows about how to put in the right prompts and do it so that it continues to generate better and better results, and using certain pictures in certain ways. Like, I mean, some of these guys are a magician. They
Really?
do stuff that I couldn't do.
Do
My
they do
my
it, or does the
understanding
machine
of
do it?
AI my understanding of AI is incredibly rudimentary.
Yeah, because it's
It's very, very
well,
simple.
I can tell you this right now. The same techniques you use to make your AI stuff are the same techniques they use to make their AI stuff. It's
Maybe.
because all you're doing is typing into a program and the program makes it for you based on the large language model it has already assimilated.
Well, I mean, from what I know that's not true, because you actually have to, for example, in Flow, you create the different scenes, but
How do you
you
create them?
have to. So it depends. There are different. You can either do a straight text, so you can input what you want.
Okay, so you put an input in.
Usually, yeah, there's another AI program
Okay.
that you can put in an image, and I think it gives you like a general definition, and you can go in and improve that, and then put it into the
How do
text
you
one, and
improve
then
that?
make.
Do you just tell the machine to generate another image after it generates something you don't like?
No, no. Once you get the text back from what it generates, you can input your own text. It does require a human being to do a lot of this stuff.
Yes,
It's a tool.
putting in
It's not
inputs.
something that just does it for you. Like, I didn't just put in knight, make Templar knight character into the computer. No, I had to do specific things that I wanted,
I
things
never
that I
said that
didn't
was all
want.
you did. I'm saying you put an input in and it turned out art. But
Yeah,
all you did
and
was put an
trial and
input in.
error eventually.
Yeah, but
Eventually, it
you
did
didn't
get
make
right.
it. The
Sometimes you
machine
have
made
to
it.
go into Photoshop. Sometimes you have to go into Photoshop, edit some things, put it back in. Yeah, it's just like anything. It's just a tool.
So you use
It just
Photoshop to edit
For me,
it,
it
but then you
makes
put
things
that as a new
easier.
input to put something else out of it. So you didn't actually make anything. You just did a couple edits on an image, told the AI
Yeah,
to incorporate it. And
yeah, no,
again,
100%. I put it into Photoshop, or
how many layers of
and then I
Photoshop
make
do you
some.
use when you edit that?
What?
What layers do you put? How do you layer an AI image in Photoshop? Is it separate by layer, or is it you have to figure out the
Well,
opacity of different
like
colors?
for example, on the image that I had here for my Christmas guy,
Hmm.
there were things that I didn't like about the helmet and different things. So I took the pre-existing thing and I put it into Photoshop, and I layered it, and out of the helmet added mass.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Oh,
so
by the way, I want to share something real quick. So while we've been talking, I just threw together a couple variations of thumbnails, just really quickly. Just this is all while talking to you, so it wasn't even like anything specific. What do you think of that? What do you think of that right there?
um,
Can you see it now on the screen? I'm not sure if it's updating yet for that.
it's a T-Rex.
Yeah, it's a T-Rex, right? I also did this,
Yeah.
and I also did this. And you know what I did? I took this image and I darkened it. See? Same image, just a little darker, but a little bright light in the eyes. I put some fuzzy pre-assembled stuff on here in Canva, which is a free program. And I typed in fear in the corner. You can't see it right here, but this fear running down vertically.
Hmm.
That was all free with stuff I just copied off of Google. You even have,
Hmm.
right there real quick, just a simple, green screen
What does
color
that have to
replacement.
do with what we're talking about?
Well, just very simply, that this piece of art required more photoshopping work from abstract background thoughts than you were incorporating to revise your knight armor for your AI prompt. These are all free
Okay.
software. In my opinion, there is nothing you can say to convince me that putting a prompt into an AI machine is comparable work to the work an artist does to make their work. And that was a
Okay.
bad thumbnail of mine. That was a throw together quick 5 second thing.
All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
I I I mean, yeah, you made a T-Rex that looked
Yeah.
interesting.
I didn't even make the T-Rex. I just copied it off Google. It's a free
Yeah.
image, Just copied it, altered it,
Yeah,
and made it a
you
shadow.
put it
That's it.
into a computer,
Yeah.
and it AI, it generated
No, nothing generated.
the
Nothing
photo.
generated. Nothing generated.
It
No.
generated the thing for you. You pulled it up, you put it into the machine. Yeah.
No, what was generated, my friend?
No, yeah, you put it into
What
what
was generated?
Google. Did Google generate
No,
use its
no,
algorithm to generate a list of pictures, and you chose from those?
no. Google didn't generate an algorithm. The algorithm was made by programmers. The programmers then selected from
Oh,
imagery submitted by
right,
human users and artists.
right.
At no point was the art created by the Google algorithm. It was presented and organized by the algorithm, but the art was made by
And
human
so,
beings.
who created what when you're talking about AI? Who created the learning models? Was
That
it
would be
engineers? Was
that would be engineers, yes. But the
yeah.
difference there is
So
that the
human
AI was
engineers
present.
created the AI.
Well, the AI was created by engineers. However, increasingly
Mm,
so, engineers have relied on AI to produce their coding, which is why so often
mm.
Microsoft 11 updates fail so often because they're AI generated and they suck. The AI is being updated now by AI, and that's why it sucks increasingly with each new iteration.
Okay.
But at no point did the engineers create the art. You can get on Google.
So did you want to talk about Captain Marvel real quick
I think I'm
before I
okay.
go?
I think I'm good.
All right,
All right, I think I'm good.
because
Uh,
that is something that you did mention.
that's
But
fair.
honestly, yeah,
I think we've exhausted the conversation enough right here. I think, but
yeah, I do
I do
too.
want to thank you for taking the time to discuss your ideas. Do you have any final thoughts to say before you go?
Well, yeah, it wasn't as much of a train wreck as I thought it was going to be.
No. Talking to your critics is important. I think.
No, oh, I'm introduced to my critics all the time. They come into my chat. In fact, some people came from your chat into my chat. I think that's
Right.
funny.
I think I
Um,
think in a one-to-one way addressing your critics. You address your
mm,
critics as a nebulous whole. I'm
I do
talking saying face to face talking to
because
someone.
brevity is the soul of wit, isn't that right? So
That has
being
what relevance does that have to do with anything?
instead of addressing these people one on one, where I see a pattern of behavior between all of them, they behave the same, talk the same, use the same talking points. I can deduce that these people have a lot of the same values, a lot of the same principles, believe a lot of the same things. Because if we weren't able to speak in generalities, we wouldn't be able to speak at all. It would
None of that
just
has to do
be.
with the quote "brevity is the soul of wit," though. That
It,
means just
it
being
is
concise. That
brevity
means being
is the
concise with your
soul of
language is
wit.
important.
Be concise. Be efficient with your words. Don't
Did you ever read
continue.
the context of what that line comes from? It's from Hamlet,
My
and it comes from a speech that
my
goes on
point
for
is
3 pages.
my point. Your pedantic deflection aside, I'm actually talking about the fact that you don't need to talk to these people one on one. After a certain number of them, you get a flavor. They're nasty. They're mentally ill. They're godless. They're degenerate. They have this pattern of behavior continuously to overinflate certain things, ignore certain things. So, but I do. I will say that I do commend you for at least having the conversation and not being as ridiculous as some of these other people. If you want to know the reason why I agreed to have a conversation
I
with
am
you and
curious why me and not
not,
others. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. So a lot of people are saying Otterly Noah. The reason why I didn't pick Otterly Noah is because Otterly Noah did something that I find even more despicable than being a furry. Is that he thought he was being clever by trying to dox me, and I thought that is they they didn't, but it doesn't mean that they didn't think that they were doing it at the time, and they were trying to do that. So I basically disregarded any conversation with that person going forward. With you, I just thought that you were wrong, but I thought that you could be addressed in as good a faith way as anyone that I've seen, even though we don't disagree. That's why I chose you.
All right. Fair enough.
Because you never tried to dox me the way that Audley Noah tried to do. Even though we have disagreements, you were able to at least come up with something that was cogent enough where I could say, okay, maybe I could have a dialogue. That's ultimately what did it. Most people, I don't. I've avoided a lot of it because I haven't seen that it's worth my time. A lot of these people, they will try to get a conversation based on bad faith, based on dishonesty. I had a guy that tried to get on by saying that he was a Christian, that he was, a fan of mine, all of these things. And then when gets on the chat, it turns out that he's, none of those things. Basically a liar, false pretenses and stuff. But I think to your credit, even though I don't agree with you on a bunch of stuff, I do think that you believe the things that you believe. Which
I certainly do. I hold my beliefs very firmly.
I will say, even though I think that you're wrong about a lot of it, I do think that you believe what you believe. And, there is that other element of not getting too far down into the depths of a lot of these people don't have any honor at all. And I've noticed that continuously.
One question I do have about this, though, how did Noah try doxing you? I'm not sure what that refers to.
So Kiwi Farms put out a dox on me. They thought it was a dox. That's not my name. But they thought that they did. And the moment that they did, Utterly Noah referred to me by the name that they put out, thinking that it was my revelation. So he put that on social media. So by calling me that name instead of Templar, which he'd been calling me consistently, they put that out, and then he referred to me as this other name, which they put that out as that's my real name. And so that's how he tried to refer to me as, which is not true. It's not my name, but he didn't know that.
So then Kiwi Farms doxed you, not Noah.
Yeah, but he said it in his tweet.
Okay.
He put the name of their dogs. He put it in his tweet towards me.
Okay.
Referring to me as the name in which they dox. So that, for me, crosses the line. So that's my standard on that. If you disagree with me, fine.
I just don't think that would be how I would define doxing, but if that's a lot,
100%.
What coming at is, I don't know if I would define it as doxing, but like if that's what
first of all,
ticked you off, that's ticked you off.
That's not for you to decide. That's for me to decide.
Again, that's a fair. Listen, I'm not going to argue with this one.
Kiwi Farms put out what they thought was my real name, and this gay furry lisping retard decided to go out on social media and thought he was clever by putting that name that is not me, but they thought that it was, and put that out there as though it were my real name. So that is, for me, that is you repeating something because you think that you're clever, or you think that it's going to hurt me or anything. He didn't know that it wasn't real at the time. He thought that it was. So that's my interpretation. That's my perspective. And that is how I ultimately make these decisions. If you go out there and do something like that because you think that you're clever, I'm just going to say, no, I really don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't think that once you stoop to that level that there's anything of value to be gained.
Well, I appreciate
that's my judgment. You can hold a different standard if you want, but if you don't broadcast what your name is, and another group says, "Oh, this guy," you put your name out there, Anthony Grugamelli or Graham Muglia or
Grumulia,
whatever. If that weren't your real name, and that were a username, and then I came out and said, "Well, Anthony's real name is really Mark."
That'd be a weird one.
Really Mark. It's really Mark Levin.
That'd be a real jump. I'm not gonna lie.
Your name's not Mark Levin. And then somebody went out and goes, "Oh yeah, Mark." You go, "Okay, well, this person tried to dox me. They didn't know that it wasn't my name, but they still attempted to do so." So we may have different standards on that, but that is for me enough to say.
Okay, I get the exploration into your viewpoint on this one. I don't agree with it, but I at least see where you're coming from. Well, Templar is a great time. It was an interesting time talking to you at the very least.
And it was interesting. I don't know if great, but it was interesting.
I might revise it to interesting as well myself.
Yeah.
All right.
I do think it was interesting. All right.
All right. Hey, take care then.
I'm gonna head out of your thing. And,
go for it.
Yeah.
Please.
God bless. And did you ever mention that you said that you were Catholic?
Yes, Roman Catholic.
You're a Roman Catholic. I actually have a question before I go.
All right.
So you're Roman Catholic. What's your stance on abortion?
My stance on abortion is against the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm Roman Catholic, but it doesn't mean I agree with everything they say. If I agree with everything the church said, I'd be agreeing with the priest's history with the little kids as well, which I do not.
Well,
being
no,
being an Italian Catholic
man
means,
is fallen and man's sins.
well, let me tell you this one. Being an Italian Catholic means basically yelling at every priest you say and arguing with them about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe other Catholics have different perspectives, but Italian Catholics have a tendency to yell at their priests. And disagree with them.
As a Roman Catholic, what is your thought on the infiltration of the LGBTQ into the Protestant churches?
The Protestant churches, I don't care what happens to Protestant churches.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So, yeah.
All right, well, it's been great talking to you, my guy. Have a good one, all right?
All right, you too.
Take care. Well, chat, we'll have a little dissemination of what just happened here. Let me play some super chats real quick. We're not done yet, but we will be done soon.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $5. That reminds me, Ant, I had accidentally deleted an entire frame for that animation I did for you on Discord.
Let's play that. Do you want to play that?
I had panicked, but I fixed it.
Oh, this is great. Let me play this real quick for everyone in chat. This is Angel and Game put this in our Discord. It's pretty fantastic. It's a little it's a little thing from a little piece of animation from last week's stream. I just want to play this real quick. I feel like it's very fitting for where we are right now, actually. You mind if I play this? Let's do it anyway. Yeah, that sums up my feeling right now also. So thank you again for the incredible work. Again, made by human artists. Play this again. Play a few more.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $2. Screw AI music. Signed a video game musician.
There you go. There you go.
At the Gaming Truge super chatted $2. May I ask why you get me and Stanley confused?
I'm not sure who Stanley is, I'm sorry to say.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $2. Well, aspiring. I make music for my own projects.
Nice.
At Maryland 614 super chatted $5. Athletes are elitists with skills I don't have. So defund sports. Use AI. Take away scholarships. AI uses skill I think I might have. It's just a tool.
If I can't get the basketball, I'm just going to use the AI to get it in instead.
At Demi Supremi super chatted $5. As the token Ant fan who uses trains AI but hates ChatGPT. I challenge Tactikal Templar to a debate on AI and art this Sunday.
That'd be interesting to see, I'm not going to lie. And training AI is a different process, I think, but it all depends.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $2. You can also use Gaussian blur to make it look bright.
There you go. Very simple tools, exactly.
At the Waverunner super chatted $2. You have the patience of a Catholic saint.
Yeah, I've been told that a few times.
At Charlie Price 8372 super chatted $2. Apologies for the angry messages.
You did great. Thank you. I'm reminded though of this one clip right here. Wait, oh crap! I thought about the Catholic thing. Oh yeah, 1 second. I'm reminded of this famous scene right here. Right now, with what we just experienced.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't fucking know either. I guess we learned not to do it again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the summary of what happened today. I don't know what we figured out from this whole thing. We didn't really figure anything out. We didn't see eye to eye on anything. This wasn't like a discussion with, like, say, if Kino is in the chat still, you know what I'm saying. I don't think we had anything productive occur today. I don't think anything happened. I guess we got insight into the mentality that is Tactical Templar, but I don't think we really figured out what actually happened. We learned not to do it a second time, I guess. I guess, like, some drama YouTubers might get some clips from this, I guess. That might be fun, but, like... Yeah, I think Kino's debate was pretty productive. I think with him, it was very good. I don't know if we changed any minds, but at least with Kino Flex, I felt like, oh, we have like an understanding. We get where we're going from. We can build from that. It was productive. Manga Comment, especially a great debate. I love that debate. That was a fantastic debate, except for Psy in the comments. But beyond that, it was very good, and funny and interesting. It could have been better, but it was pretty good, and we both saw eye to eye on it. I don't think anything was learned with this one, and I don't know if even any of his arguments made sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, did he have any points? I don't know. He certainly liked talking, but I don't know if he said anything. Yeah, Kino stayed on topic. Agreed. Yeah, he was like on the point. You know, we might, if anything, we were like really close to. We took the argument very seriously on all sides. Manga too. Yeah, I'm not sure I learned anything from today, but I feel it was valuable to point out that he is allowed to respond to his critics. That is something I believe is fair. I do feel like I'm going to spend the rest of the night like watching Star Trek. I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's what I'm going to do. Actually, if you want a good recommendation after this, I know that Jesse Gender put out a video on Star Trek. That might be worth. Might stimulate your brain stems a little bit. Still, I don't know if anything we actually discussed changed any minds, or I feel like everyone kind of who started the conversation ended with the same opinion of him. Everyone who thought of me a certain way probably ended with the same opinion. I don't think any movies we have different opinions on now, or any perspectives. Apparently you're all degenerate furries. Apparently. Which, by the way, Guy has a real hang up on furries. Jesus. Wow. I don't know. I've never seen a person that obsessed with furries before, and I've talked to furries. There are furries in my server who are less obsessed with furries than this guy is. And some of you guys are furries, I know that, but I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
At strange_trees super chatted $3.58. I don't think he had a point beyond I'm right and everyone else is slurs.
Basically, yeah, that was kind of it. Thankfully, you guys sent super chats. I guess the stream might be demonetized before it's done because he didn't let as many as I thought he would, but I was expecting a few. Anyway.
At the guy 493 super chatted $2. His hate on furries reminds me of old school 4chan.
That's true. And like, again, like I was on 4chan back in the day, so I'm used to all this. None of this shocks me. Like when he's saying like Asmongold is taboo, I'm like, no, he's just a run-of-the-mill 4chan troll who just got a big platform. Like if he was on 4chan, there'd be nothing remarkable with the guy. It was all stuff that was maybe taboo 20 years ago, but nothing now. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like we accomplished nothing, except for the fact they got money from Super Chats. And that really is nice, because that can pay for diapers later on. Still, I don't know if anything actually meaningful occurred today. Well, if everyone's here, you might as well take a look at my newest video on fan service. That's something nice, I guess. But, you know, like I said, I try to send you guys off somewhere more productive.
At the Gaming Truge super chatted $2. It's because Otterly Noah has a Otter Avatar XD.
That's probably it. Because Noah's not even a furry, I don't think, right? Like, you just have like a avatar that's like an otter. Like, I don't think you're even a furry. Real false valor there. I'm kidding. Let me take a look real quick to see. Oh, actually, I had all these clips here I didn't even use. I had all these clips I borrowed, but weren't even useful. Oh, I know what I'm going to send you. All. Because we might as well wrap up now. Let me send you all Krim's about to get a surprise of his life. While let me get you guys right here. Oh, hang on. One second. No. Okay, crud. I guess it's not going on. Okay, that's fair. I guess. Unfortunately, it looks like Krim is not opening people up to his. Okay. Goddamn Malcolm streaming. Oh no, I'll send you all the Krim. Here we go. Perfect. So once this ends, I see goddamn Malcolm streaming a response to this, so I guess he'll have fun with that. So now I'll hear from Malcolm probably tomorrow about this probably. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess if you like Karma, I guess you got your fun stuff there, I guess, but I feel like it could be more productive. Malcolm's chat though, if you're watching this, was I more productive against Templar or Malcolm? I think Templar was the more successful debate. With Malcolm, I feel like we were fighting different battles that time. But still, excellent stuff. I'm gonna wrap up right now because I need to feed my son and drink water. And but yeah, no, everyone, thank you so much for joining in. This was a lot of this was something to say the least. I'm gonna send you all the Crimson Ender stream. So when you get there, tell him I sent you. And overwhelm him with all your numbers. It'd be very fun to see him pop up there. So, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.